My name is Rob Cagnetta, and this is a meeting of the South Kingstown, Rhode Island Zoning Board of Review. Members present tonight are Thomas Daniels, our Vice Chairman, Arlene Hicks, and Jeff Elia. Also present are Amy Goins, the South Kingstown Special Legal Counsel, Jamie Gorman, the South Kingstown Building and Zoning Official, and Ben Barbera for Building and Zoning Associate. The board is made up of 8 people with 5 regular voting members. A minimum of 4 members must be present to vote. In the event that regular members are absent or recused, an alternate will step in. No more than 5 members are entitled to a vote, and at least 3 voting members are needed to grant the requested relief. Tonight, the voting members will be myself, Mr. Daniels, Ms. Hicks, and Mr. Elia. Applicants are here for either a dimensional or a use variance or a special use permit. The board is a quasi-judicial body created by the South Kingstown Ordinance pursuant to state statutes. We don't follow strict rules of evidence, and we operate what we believe to be in a fair and equitable manner. We try to let everyone speak unless you get carried away or it's deemed not relevant. So in the interest of time, please be brief and on point. We do our best not to argue and try to keep things civil, and we'd like to start our last petition before 10 o'clock. So we're going to be pushing that tonight. So after we introduce your petition, please step up to the microphone at the podium. Adjusting it as necessary, real easy to move around. Clearly state and spell your name for the record. You will then be asked to take an oath to tell the truth. After that, present your petition with any witnesses to testify in support of the application. And the board will ask you or your witnesses questions. And I'll mention on the microphone, there's 3 dots and then the little person with a speaky thing. Hit the speaky thing so it turns red and the microphone turns on. When you're not speaking, we ask to turn it off because there's feedback. After the petitioner has presented their testimony, anyone with questions in support of or opposition to the petition can step up to said microphone. You will identify yourself, be sworn in, and present your testimony with follow-up questions from the board. Please do not direct questions or comments to the petitioner or any other witnesses. The board will direct questions to the petitioner or its witnesses after the comment period. So after hearing all the testimony, the board members will discuss the application and the evidence presented. The board members will ask a lot of questions, and there's a good reason for it. We cannot just grant anything we choose. There are rules to follow per the South Kingstown Ordinance, so you must give testimony to support certain facts to allow the rule to be approved. So tonight we have dimensional variances and special use permits on the agenda, and I'll do my best to sort of kindly remind you, but when you're here for either a dimensional variance or a special use permit, there are certain points you're supposed to stay on, so if you go adrift from those certain points, and I'll do my best to sort of point out what it is we're here for about a particular petitioner. But for the dimensional variance, you must present evidence that the hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or the structure, but it's not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. That the hardship is not the result of any prior action on their part, and that the granting of the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area, and that the hardship that by the denial of the variance will amount to more than a mere inconvenience. So that basically means that the relief they're seeking is minimal to reasonably enjoy the permitted use of the property in which it's proposed for. For the special use, it's different. You must present evidence that the request is authorized by our zoning ordinance. So somewhere in our zoning ordinance here, it has to say that it is authorized or we do not have the power to grant it. The request meets all the criteria in the zoning ordinance that authorize such special use, and the request will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area, nor will it impair the purpose or the intent of the zoning ordinance. So that is that. Is there anything in particular we need to review before we get started?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to point out, though, that there is a sophisticated scam targeting zoning board applicants requesting wiring of funds, and this has been going on for a number of months. The town will never request wiring transfer for funds. So if any of the applicants receive correspondence requesting that, please notify or contact the town.
And when when people do make their submittals, are they paying it through the portal? Or they come in person to pay it?
That's correct. It's all through the town domain. But again, if there's any question about legitimacy, but again, never wiring of funds. The town would never request that. So that's the red flag.
And there's no way for you to even receive wired funds as the town, in the sense, for an application like this?
I'm not aware, but that's not how we operate yet.
Right, so we wouldn't ask for stuff
Correct.
like that. Yeah, it's awful, awful. Ms. Goins?
And I'll just add that a notice to that effect, a warning to that effect was made part of the workflow in OpenGov for applicants submitting applications for zoning. But in South Kingstown and in other municipalities, unfortunately, we still are seeing people fall victim to those scams.
Oh, really? Yeah, and we're not sure. They sort of breach it in different ways. They have people's emails, and but all of this is public knowledge. So anything that's on what is submitted, but people's personal information is not part of that submittal. So, so yeah, just beware. If it looks like a scam, smells like a scam, it probably is. But if there's any need, like if you do reach out to folks, they can certainly just call the office and ask if they don't feel that what was sent to them seemed appropriate or whatever.
Yeah, they should verify
Yeah.
with the building department. Absolutely, Mr. Chairman.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, so there are 4 of us voting tonight, and the first one, we're going to jump to the last one because I believe that there's a continuation request. This is the petition for ZBR 26-19 for Peter Abenanti, for 620 Old Baptist Road, North Kingstown, Rhode Island, 02852. They're requesting a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows: seeking to construct a 2-family dwelling upon a vacant lot consisting of 10,914 square feet. The minimum lot area required to establish a 2-family dwelling is 15,000. Therefore, the relief of 4,086 is requested. The dimensional variance is required per zoning ordinance, section 401, dimensional regulations, and section 907, standards of relief. Owner of the property is Denali Corp. for premises located in South Kingstown, Assessor's Map 56-3, Lot 234, and is zoned R10. Good evening. No,
All right. Oh,
person, sorry.
The person. Evening. We're requesting continuance to the next regularly scheduled meeting, if that's okay. There are a couple questions came up recently. We wanted an opportunity to discuss with the town and the solicitor staff and the solicitor. We may, based on our discussions, we may amend the application. So we wanted to kind of be prudent and amend that if necessary. We may just come back with what we have, but either way, just the next regular meeting if it's okay.
Okay, and I'm sorry if did you
apologize.
identify yourself?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I apologize. My name is David Johnston. I'm attorney for the applicant, Denali Corp. My apologies.
Oh, no problem.
Just trying to get the button right.
Yeah, no, I understand. Okay, so you're asking for continuation until the July meeting?
Yes.
And the July meeting is 15th? Okay. I'll ask out there if there's anyone that cares. So are folks here for this petition of Peter Abenanti of 620 Old Baptist Road? It's the one for, what's the address on this?
Willard Avenue.
Willard Avenue.
Sorry.
So it's the Willard Avenue petition. So folks are here for that. They're asking for an extension till July. This will not be reposted in the sense that it won't be in the newspaper again, but it will be happening on July 15th. So if there's anyone out there that wants to speak on behalf of this or make a comment, please feel free to come up. No? Okay. Board members, any concerns, comments about this? No. It's all good? Okay. So, all right, I'll make a motion for the petition of, and could you pronounce the last name for me?
I'm going to embarrass myself.
Oh,
Peter
all right. Well, I won't do
Abernathy.
that then.
Abernathy. It's fine.
Abenanti. Abenanti, okay. So I'm going to ask for the petition of Peter Abenanti of Willard Avenue in South Kingstown to be continued until July 15th, 2026. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Elia. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Mr. Elia? Aye. Mr. Daniels? Aye. Ms. Hicks? Aye. We'll see you on the 15th. Thank you. Okay, next we're going to hear from the petition of 2613 of Rogers Home Incorporated, 70 Foster Sheldon Road, Wakefield, Rhode Island, 02879. They request a use variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to establish a drug or alcohol rehabilitation facility, which is a use code 24.1, within the existing commercial structure. The lot size is 0.31 acres. The use variance is required per the zoning ordinance, Section 301, a Schedule of Use Regulations, and Section 907, Standards of Relief. The owner of the property is Rogers Home, Inc., for premises located at 28 Columbia Street, South Kingstown. Assessors map 57-1, lot 43, and is zoned CN. Good evening.
Oh, yeah, there you go, much better. Okay, let's start over, sorry. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, John Mancini on behalf of Rogers Home, Inc., and as the chair indicated, we're before you requesting a use variance for the property located at 28 Columbia Street. I have with me two witnesses essentially for this evening's application. One is Milton Rogers. He's the principal of Rogers Home, Inc. Rogers Home, Inc. is a nonprofit corporation, and the purpose of this entity is to assist in rehabilitation with regards to substance abuse. The property before you is has had an extensive history with the town, with the board. It was initially before the board back in 2019 when it was reviewed for purposes of a special use permit. At the time, the board granted the special use permit because the particular use, which is essentially described as drug or alcohol rehabilitation, was permitted in this zone by special use permit. It has since not been, it is since no longer permitted by a special use permit. And what I'd like to do at this point, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is I have a package of exhibits that I'm going to refer to, but I'd like to hand them out to the board if possible.
Yes,
so you
please.
can walk through them.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
And what we'll do is we'll just label them as one package, as petitioners one.
Okay.
Six, and I've got 6 of them.
We can hand it down.
So, thank you, Mr. Chair. So as I indicated, its package includes a site plan which basically identifies what the construction anticipates to, what the applicant anticipates the construction to be and what it intends to do with the property. The recorded zoning board decision of July 23rd, 2019, which granted the original special use permit for this project and specifically for the construction plans that are submitted as part of this package. A site plan as presented back in 2019 by Dupree Engineering, which is the same site plan which is anticipated to be done here, a survey of the parcel, and then ultimately a award notification letter which has been issued for Rogers Homes by the state for purposes of construction and effectuating the proposed use. So I want to refer the board at the onset to the special use permit that was granted. So when this project was granted in 2019, the applicant commenced to do certain work to it, but unfortunately was not able to finally effectuate and finalize the construction to the property. So the property essentially fell in a bit of disarray because of the inability to finish it and because of the inability to get the necessary funding to do that. The applicant had repeatedly come before the board asking for an extension of the special use permit. That extension was granted by the board to the applicant. up until about a year ago or maybe 6 months ago, when there was an issue with regards to the extension of the special use permit. And rather than come back to this board for the extension of the special use permit, the applicant is now seeking to do a use variance and is requesting the use variance predicated on 2 factors. One, all of the elements that are essentially part of the special use permit, which were met by this applicant back in 2019 before the zoning board. And then most importantly, the evidence of the award notification letter, where now the applicant can satisfy the requirements, or I should say, can satisfy the financial requirements of ensuring that this property gets completed and built as necessary for the use. The award, as granted by the state, is $1,337,230. Those monies are available immediately. They're sitting there waiting for us to finalize and close with the necessary agencies. They're federal funds, and they're specifically earmarked for this property and for this use. So we now have the ability to effectuate the construction plans that I've identified. The goal is to take the building and to essentially make 12 rooms out of it. What you'll hear also tonight is that these 12 rooms also qualify as affordable housing, so they get the town gets the benefit of utilizing that in its makeup for housing, or particularly a particular stock of housing, affordable housing, on top of, in addition to the fact of the need for these types of facilities and the use for these types of facilities. So with that, what I'd like to do is have Mr. Rogers testify, sworn in and testify, so that he can speak to the board about what the mission of Rogers Homes is, what the intent is with respect to construction on this property, what the operation for this property will be, what the time frame for construction will be, and ultimately kind of give you a vision, an explanation of his vision of what he expects to achieve with respect to this property. So unless there's any questions, I'd like to turn it over to my first witness.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, just have him sworn.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. Please state and spell your name.
Milton Rogers III, Milton Rogers III.
Excellent. And so, go ahead, counsel.
Well, I had gotten this approved before. I think yourself and Mr. Daniel was on that board. Due to a chain of events, which I tried to explain previously, what happened in 2020 was COVID. What happened in 2021, due to a circumstance that happened to me on the second day of the year, I broke my shoulder in half. I'm not asking for pity for this board or anything like that, but it took me 4 surgeries to recover. I got a surgery in 21, I got a surgery done in 22, 23, and finally had the final surgery done in 2024. During this time, that place had run dormant, and during this time, I still tried to get funds and tried to get things going with Rogers Home. You know, it's been a long journey. I've been in recovery since 1995. My first drug and alcohol counselor is here tonight, and I've been helping people for years. I'm not here fighting for something that I don't believe in. I'm here trying to assist this community, people in the state of Rhode Island, and also myself in helping people who suffer from drug addiction and alcoholism. If nobody helps me some 30 years ago, I'm not sitting here before you. I asked for help 30 years ago, and you know, I was a full-blown drug addict, alcoholic, and I went to a place called the Association for Sober Living because I had nowhere else to turn. If that place, the Association for Sober Living, doesn't bring me in and help me, I have no opportunity to stay sober. I've been at my job, BMW of Newport, for 29 years. So just to reflect on some of that, I'm that guy you see holding a sign on the street asking for help and asking for money. I'm that guy who's dirty, can't get up in the morning time, and can't help anybody. If there's not a place like Rogers Home for me back then, I don't have an opportunity to get sober. I don't have an opportunity to have a productive life. I came in tonight me and your board member right here sitting down drove in the same car. The difference between me and him is I'm an alcoholic and drug addict, but the similarities is we drive the same car. If I don't get that opportunity years ago, I don't have any opportunity to do any of this. I'm not asking for pity, but I've helped thousands of young men in the state of Rhode Island who suffer from drug addiction, alcoholism, and mental health get their lives back on track. And I did that through a house which I'm trying to formulate down here. I started trying to do this some 10 years ago with a promise that people in the community were going to help me. What happened was that person was going to help me lost their child, and they didn't want to help me anymore. And what happened through a chain of events, one of the guys who's well respected in this community, and he's here tonight, Antonio Marlowe, said, Milton, I believe in you, and I want to help you with this building, and gave me that building on a promise. $1 million building Mr. Marlowe gave me here tonight on a promise, because he believed in what I was doing, and he knew I was there to help people suffer from drug addiction and alcoholism. And if I was to be prideful, and I was to be a person who didn't want to help anybody, I could say, you know something, I could do whatever I want to do. I have a great job, I have a great living, I have great things in my life. But I'm here tonight so I can help people who suffer with drug addiction, alcoholism, and mental health. And I'm asking the board to let me continue my project because I started it, and due to a chain of events, unto me knowing and not being able to supply funds, I was not able to complete that project. That project is more than halfway done. And I say, you know, if people don't want that project in this community or in this area, I mean, who are they to say or be the person who's going to turn somebody away that needs help and want to have on their decision of not helping people try to get a better life? And that's all I do. That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I do. And I just want to continue doing my project, and that's all.
So, through the chair, if I may, just a few questions. So Milton, can you describe for the board what the project consists of?
The project consists of 12 men. And what we're going to have, there's a security there during the 24 hours. We're going to have clinicians, 3 clinicians, a doctor, and someone who's going to have activities, is going to have counseling, and going to have a safe place for people who suffer from addiction to live at.
Can you describe for the board what the interior renovations of the building will consist of?
The interior will have bedrooms that will supply 12 men to live at. It'll have dressers, it'll have beds, it'll have nightstands, TV. It also will have an exercise room that will be in, which is the other building that's there, a van, and it will help men come into a safe place so they won't be on the streets, they won't be in jail, and they'll be in a place that can help them get a better life. Because that opportunity was given to me, and I took it, and I've gained nothing but good things in my life.
Milton, can you describe what the exterior renovations will consist of?
The exterior will have, as we started already, a brand new roof, new siding. Also, it'll be there'll be variances for parking, and it'll be clean. It'll fit in with the neighborhood. It won't be an eyesore like it's been for years. It'll be a place that will be respected, and also it will be a place that people can look at and say, that's where people go to get help.
Milton, you described or explained, I should say, about security. Can you give me a little more detail as to what your plan is for security at this property?
What we plan on having is during the night hours, we plan on having security there because we don't want anybody coming in more so or anybody hypothetically going out. We want to make sure that's a safe place for people to go to, and we also want to make sure it's a safe place for people to leave.
Well, do you intend on having security cameras? Do you intend on having 24-hour monitoring services? What particularly do you expect us to do there?
Yes, I will have security cameras. I will have monitors. I've already spoken to a security company, and they're going to help us facilitate that so we can have an eye on anybody coming in and out of the property.
You mentioned parking. Can you describe for the board how many parking spaces will be available for this property, and how many parking spaces you believe are necessary or will be utilized for the property?
Right now, the property can have up to 50 parking spaces.
Say 50?
50. But due to the town's ordinance, they only want us to cut it off and have like 25 parking spaces, and we are going to oblige to that.
And based on what your plans are, do you expect or anticipate any dimensional variance or any other town relief regarding the construction?
No, I don't. The only thing I know that we do have to put a system in from the outside going in, and that's going to be a sprinkler system for the safety of the people living in the home.
Okay. So when you say a sprinkler system, are you referring to the landscaping, or are you referring to a fire suppression system?
Both, because it'll be both.
And it's your anticipation to comply with and obtain all necessary approvals from the town of South Kingstown?
Yes, I've met with the fire marshal, I've met with the sprinkler system people. I have a contractor, Greg Cooper, who's doing all the necessary paperwork and talking to the necessary people, so we can have all that stuff in place. So it's not like we're behind in that. We're not actually behind in anything. What we really were behind was in funding.
Can you describe the board what has changed with respect to funding?
What has changed with respect to funding, that the state of Rhode Island thought that what I was doing merited Rogers Home $1.3 million and able for us to complete this property, and able for us to complete this project. You know, the state of Rhode Island also gave us money to own the building, so I think the state of Rhode Island believes in what we're doing, and we're not trying to do anything negative out there. We're trying to do something positive. And if I could do anything, I would like to leave a legacy of the face of recovery and like to be in this town, because I'm also a resident of this town. I've been a resident of this town for over 22 years.
Describe for the board the grant or the monies you received from the state for the acquisition of the property.
The money that I received for that was to finish the property, to get everything in place, whether security, the doctors, the clinician, and get the bedding and all the other things that are necessary for me to complete a project, and able for me to have a safe place for people to live.
And will Rogers Home have employees on site? And if so, what would be the time periods?
Yes, Rogers Home will have employees on site, and what we plan on doing is having a cook, we plan on having a janitor, receptionist, a doctor, clinicians, and people to maintain the property around the area.
And how can you assure the board that the operations will be consistent and contiguous?
I have properties throughout the state of Rhode Island now, and those properties have been running for years. I started doing this, like I said, in the year 2002. And like I said, I've had hundreds and thousands of people who have came through this facility, Rogers Home, and have been sober, gotten on with their lives, and also made contributions to the state of Rhode Island.
Can you describe a little bit more for the board your background in operating and facilitating these types of facilities and the locations of the other facilities?
My background is, so I went to Rogers High School. I went to the University of North Carolina. I finished up at URI. I played professional football for the Miami Dolphins. I played for the replacement teams in 1987. I played for the Jets, 1987-88. Played for the Jets replacement team. I played semi-professional football. I lost it all because of drugs and alcohol. Due to direct result of I didn't know how to get help. I didn't know how to ask for help. And like I said, I got sober and I met a guy in the 90s, and I told him about all the accolades, all the awards, all the good things that I had in my life. And I asked him, can you help me? He said, Milton, you don't have a hard time getting things. I'm going to show you how to keep them. And that was over 30 years ago, and everything that he said that I didn't have a hard time getting, I've been able to keep. I've owned property in the state of Rhode Island, a numerous amount of houses which help people. I own a house on Foster Sheldon Road. I'm a community advocate for recovery, and I don't look at it like I'm better than anybody. I'm not here to, toot my horn, but my humility has kept me sober. My humility to help people has kept me grounded. And I'm just here to help people to have a better life because I know it can be done because I live it. I live it, so it's not something that I made up or might happen or should happen. I've been sober for over 30 years. I've been able to do so many things. My son's a sophomore at Boston College. He went to the Pomfret School, he went to St. Michael's School. He's going to be a doctor. He's a 3.8 student at Boston College. And that's a direct result because his father's sober and his father helps everyone. He helps people, not everyone, he helps people who suffer from drug addiction, alcoholism. And we also do some things throughout the community with the Amos House, Crossroads, Salvation Army, just to show people that we're not there just for ourselves. Somebody gave me a phone call today, and he said, "Were you keeping that property just for tax reasons? Were you keeping that property just so you can write off something that you already have?" I stand here tonight before you to tell you that property at 28 Columbia Street has bleeded me. Mr. Marlowe, as my witness, I paid $4,000 for 4 years, nearly 5 years, for zero, for that property standing there. I'm not fighting tonight for this property. I'm telling you that I'm here to help, and I'm all the way in this. I'm not saying I might do that, I'm going to do that. I want to do this. And I'm asking for your help to support me to do this.
Do you have any other beneficial use for that property if the variance is not granted for this particular use?
No, I don't.
Can you, so I want to refer the board to the award notification. Can you talk to me a little bit about the award notification, what that means, and tell me what that means. What's the award notification?
This award notification was something that I've been trying to get for over probably 2.5, 3 years. I diligently wrote over probably nearly 100 pages. With the help of Frank Spinella, I was able to format a mission, a purpose, and what I'd like to do at 28 Columbia Street. I was able to put that together probably about a year ago, and we've been waiting. As we all know, during this time of 2019, the federal government has changed, and the federal government is not moving fast for anybody. And I was at the mercy of them, and this year, they awarded me this money. I wouldn't say it's a miracle. I think it's a blessing, and I think they believe in what I'm trying to do. And this is more than enough that will help me complete this project.
Are these funds tied specifically to this project?
Yes, it is. These funds are tied to this project and this project only. Somebody in the state of Rhode Island or the state itself, and I think John mentioned it, it's there for affordable housing / substance, alcoholism, mental health, to help people who we turn our eye on or think that can't get help, who have no place to stay, get a safe and secure place to live.
I don't have any further questions. If the board has any questions.
Yeah, we do. I mean, Mr. Gorman, could I just ask, for this particular use variance and understanding the point of being here, right? So this is not a permitted use under the current zoning, but it is allowed getting the variance, right? So Help me say that better.
It is not permitted, it's prohibited. So the options are either request and receive a use variance or potentially ask the town council to change the zoning. It is always permitted to request a variance from anything and from any requirement of the zoning ordinance, be it a use variance or a dimensional variance.
If I may add to that.
Yeah, please speak into the mic.
Sure. And should have, I apologize, I probably should give you the background as to the legal concept as to why we're here. As I indicated, sometime after 2019, the zoning table of uses changed so that the use which was once permitted in this zone by special use permit is now prohibited. And so our options, as your solicitor has stated, are twofold, or three. One is to extend the special use permit. The second is to ask for a zone change that would change the zoning of that area to permit this use, or thirdly, to come here for a use variance. We think that the zone change would not be sensible because it would be difficult to change just the zoning on that particular parcel. That would be identified as spot zoning. We would have to ask the town council to rezone that entire area or add the use as a particular use in that zone and amend the table of uses. That would also require, as you know, extensive advertising, 3 consecutive weeks. It would require a planning board recommendation. And so it was a lot of work and an extensive amount of time for little reward. I don't think that is probably what the council was looking for. So the alternative was to ask for a use variance to essentially permit what the board had already permitted under the special use permit. And that's the concept. Now, the issue is, as I know that you know, the use variance standard is high. And so the bar for obtaining the use variance is a burden that's much different than the dimensional variance, as you stated at the outset. And basically, we need to show that we've lost all beneficial use of the property. So our position is that the beneficial use for this property from 2019 was this sober house. So this property was approved as what it is, which is a drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility. It was permitted as such under the special use permit until the special use permit expired or the failure to extend was not, or there was a failure to extend. So our request for use variance is essentially to go back to the special use permit. So the current use for the property, we argue, is this drug alcohol rehabilitation facility. We want to finish what we started with that facility. We have the ability and the means to do that now. And so the facts here are a little bit more, the facts here are unique in comparison to other facts or other applications for a use variance. So we're not simply asking you to blindly change the use from commercial to residential or residential to commercial. We're asking you essentially to do apples and apples. That is, it was a drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility, but for the inability to extend the grant of the special use permit, we're asking for that to essentially be back.
And I'll just add to that, a number of uses in the use table were changed by the town council from S, special use permit, to either yes or no, because the alternative was we had to develop specific standards for each category of special use permit, and the planning board and planning department did a lot of work developing specific standards for some uses, but a number of them, I think, were changed to either permitted or prohibited because of the time crunch. There wasn't necessarily a ton of time to come up with standards for each and every use that was listed in the use table. So I think that the fact that it was changed from special use permit to prohibited isn't necessarily reflective of, the council making a determination on any specific property.
Well, and I didn't know if I was going to use the right term to say it was not punitive, but it was something that was targeted towards specific locations to say we don't want these uses anymore. It was more or less just a general change in how we were perceiving how uses were requested or I just want to really be clear as to say like that the intent wasn't to change this neighborhood or this property.
I believe it was made a prohibited use townwide in all zoning districts.
Yeah, and I think the planning board was behind a tight, time crunch for 100 uses in the use code category, that if it wasn't prohibited and there weren't specific and objective criteria for that specific use, that it would be argued it's allowed as of right. So that's why it would be town-wide. Many uses became prohibited just until the planning board could go through each one over time.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that the statute which forced municipalities to specifically identify with particularity standards and criteria for special use permit. If they didn't do it within a specified time period, that special use permit would be automatically converted to a permitted use. And so I understand the town's position was, rather than risk this becoming a permitted use in all of whatever zones it is, they did it as a prohibited use.
To have it be reviewed
On
in each
case-by-case
case.
basis, right?
Right.
As it was initially. And this application was vested under that ordinance until such time that the grant of the special use permit was not extended. And
Right.
there has been a request and a petition to extend the special use permit, but there was an issue as to whether or not Mr. Rogers showed up for that extension or didn't show up. So rather than refile the same extension, we thought it would be cleaner and easier to request on a case-by-case basis the special use permit, get that approval. That would effectuate our award letter, which would then allow us to get our money and proceed and finish the project.
And what was the previous use of this building?
It's a good
It
question.
was a funeral home.
So there's really no chance for this to become a house or anything like that again. It's set up as a business as it is now. And there's some rearrangement of floor plan that you're proposing, but pretty much you're not looking to gut the place. You're looking to sort of reuse the building as it stands primarily.
The house is already set up, and the structure's up already. So the gutting process already happened, and it's already set up for 12 men to live in there.
So you guys started the
Already,
the-
yes.
You already started the
Everything's
prep.
already started. It's got the bathroom set up. It's got the bedroom set up. It's got all the studs all in the building. The wiring's done. I mean, it's just on the last stage of finishing.
So you were sort of ongoing with some of the repairs, and then you kind of ran out of
Exactly.
funding?
Exactly.
And then it stopped?
Exactly.
And then your special use permit that you received had run out?
Yeah, exactly.
The town changed their ordinance that made it not a permitted use, and so you have a half-done building,
Yes.
some fresh funding
Yes.
to complete the project, more than complete it, or like that you're feeling that this 1.3 is going to get you open at this point?
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not like you have more fundraising to do to
Don't need
complete
any
the
more-
project? You're
There's no
going to
more-
be able
There's
to,
no more needed, but there's always donations that can be given.
so, but also, if we're granting this special use, a use variance rather, for this property, this goes in perpetuity. So this is not something that if Roger's home is no longer here, it still can be used by the use variance.
Correct,
as
it
that.
goes with the land, it goes with it, so it's not specific to, and it's fine for the board, of course, to hear information about this applicant and Rogers home, but it could be used by any subsequent owner for the same use.
And we don't have, if the board's interested in a condition that it expires with the use, we're okay with that.
Can we do that? No. Well,
We can't tie it to a specific operator.
okay, right, but can we,
Can tie it.
is this a time frame thing? Could we say like
You-
every 5 years they come back or something like that?
Well,
Or
you can't do a temporary variance. I know Providence likes to do those. But what you could do is you could tie it to the abandonment. In other words, if this operation ceases for a particular period of time, the use ceases, because you're granting a variance.
I'm not sure I agree
Okay.
that we could do that. I think if the board wants to impose any reasonable conditions on approval, you can do that. I would just suggest maybe, let's think about what those conditions could be.
But there's no certifications or no oversight by the town per se in this type of operation?
This question has come up before on prior hearings of whether there's any kind of state licensing or state certification, and my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, please, is that it is not a required licensure because it is not exactly a healthcare facility. So the town's oversight, I think, would be, limited to building code compliance, zoning compliance, and I don't know if Attorney Mancini or his client can elaborate on any kind of state oversight.
What about,
Frank can come up, Frank?
yeah, we'll get to him in a sec. So what about the, darn it, just forgot. So let's say things are going awry and what's the town's ability to sort of step in or say that the facility isn't being managed as expected?
Well, the town can certainly enforce any and all applicable ordinances related to property maintenance, related to traffic. Certainly for a facility like this, I would expect there to be some initial attention, some ongoing attention to the operations by the police department. There should be, outreach with the police department. But there's continuing, town oversight of kind of on par with any business.
So could we do something like, if they're saying that there's going to be 3 clinicians and a doctor, is that something that we can say that's an expectation to provide?
You can make that a condition of approval. If the board feels that's appropriate, you can mandate conditions for the operation, including but not limited to X number of people being on site or, clinicians being involved. You can impose that as a condition of approval.
But not something like you call the police more than 6 times a year and something happens, right? I mean, it's not, you can't do anything like that.
That seems difficult to enforce.
Yeah,
But, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to remind you, this was heard for a continuation in 2024 for the special use permit, which was granted, and the board approved that with specific conditions tied to that approval. So, I mean, whether you want to revisit those, and I can give those to you. They also incorporate the planning board approval, which is from 2017 with regard to site improvements in the exterior.
Let's hear what everybody has to say, and if some of those are applicable or all, we'll hear it again. So, thank you.
In our positions, we're not opposed to restrictions. I mean, what we're saying is, look, we're committed to this use. We're committed to what we're proposing, and any condition that the board feels comfortable to ensure that our commitment is real is fine. It just again manifests what we're looking to accomplish and demonstrate our commitment to it.
Yeah, and as I'm sure we'll hear from the community, I think that there will be concerns
Makes sense.
that to be addressed. So, but yeah, keep going. And
So,
well, I didn't even get to
yeah,
other board members ask questions of Mr. Rogers. So, yeah, does anyone have questions for Mr. Rogers?
Yes. Mr. Rogers, at a previous meeting you came before this board, you had asked for a continuance, which obviously we granted. One of the provisions that we set forth was that that property would be maintained in a professional and respectful manner for all the neighbors. And I can tell you I've driven by that property on numerous occasions, and that property has not been upkept the way you guaranteed to this board that it would be. Can you explain that?
I don't know if it was during the winter months, or I think, or what month that was brought up. Because every time that I've talked to Jamie or anything that was going on, I had my contractor come by and do some work on it. So I don't know if I fell short on some things that were there. I mean, you talk about my property and just isolating that. I drove by 48 Columbia Street, and you can drive by when you leave here. The roof is destroyed, The property is destroyed, has cars in front of it, has everything that doesn't look up to sniff. I mean, I plan on keeping my property. If I've done that.
I'm not
it's
talking
been-
about anyone else's property
Okay.
but yours.
It must have been a miscite by me. That's all I can explain to her, if it was something that wasn't done, but what was asked for us when we had to put some new siding up, or we had to make sure the snow was removed, or anything that was going on, we've done that, because I only had some ordinance from the town about getting that done, and I'd done that. And I believe it's up to par right now, at this time.
So what assurances do we have that if this is granted, that that property will be upkept, as you had once guaranteed it would be, but it clearly has not been?
As I mentioned earlier, I will have people mandating the property. I have the funding to do that now. There might have been a short of funds at the time. Right now, I told you I'd have some people who would mandate the property outside and also inside.
Any other questions, board members? Mr. Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just some clarification from building official and legal once again. Is it my understanding that when the use changed, this type of facility was not allowed in any zones in the town of South Kingstown? Is that correct?
I believe this use is allowed in the commercial highway zone, is the only permitted
Okay.
zone district that,
But it was removed from special use permit in the residential zone, or the CN zone?
correct.
Correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I don't think it's our purview to try and understand what the intent of the council was. You indicated that they hurried, or maybe they were in a hurry to do something. I don't think it's our purview to try and get into their minds as to what they did. So as it stands, it is not a permitted use in this particular zone, correct?
Correct, and it will only be allowed if this board determines that the application satisfies the use variance standards. You're right, your job isn't to determine why the council made the zoning as it is. Your job is just to apply the standards to the facts.
Second question I have with regard to procedure is the notice of decision in July of 2019 that granted the special use permit. Do I understand it is no longer valid?
Correct, that's correct. So the application was originally granted in 2019. I believe that special use permit may have expired, and the board granted again a second special use permit, essentially granting the relief that had been expired, as this board sometimes does. That second special use permit remained active until sometime in 2025, I believe, when it expired because construction had started but hadn't commenced or hadn't proceeded enough to fully vest the special use permit.
Okay. So Attorney Mancini's asking us to go back to the 2019 decision. How can we go back to a decision when the use is no longer permitted?
So it's in this board's, the board can judge what's relevant and what's not. I think the history of the board's actions on this, for this use at this site is relevant, even though the standard is different now. You're no longer applying special use permit standards. You're applying the standards for the use variance. I think the prior decision of the board is relevant only to the extent that the board's findings on what I understand to be essentially the same use help you in any way to apply the standards for a use variance.
Okay. Now I have a question for Mr. Rogers. What federal and/or state licensure requirements are necessary for you to proceed?
There isn't any state or federal licenses that are necessary. I've had property like this in the state of Rhode Island. So what I do is I just register each year. I have to register each year in the state of Rhode Island as a nonprofit entity and what I do there. So I do register with the state.
The Office of the Health Department doesn't require any licensure whatsoever?
No, I didn't have to have a license for that.
No other state agency requires any
Just
kind
the
of
state-
licensure?
Just the state of Rhode Island just asked me to register every year.
So there's no overview, correct? There's
Yes.
no overview by state or federal authorities or local authorities? Other than
Okay, I
other
think
than
Frank,
zoning
Frank can answer
violations?
that better. Frank can answer that more so than I
Hi,
can.
good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the
Yep,
board.
just state and spell your name, please.
Francis Spinella, Francis, Spinella.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent, please.
I'm an affordable housing consultant. I've been one for 35 years, worked in every community in the state. I work for some towns as well as many nonprofits throughout the state. I met Milton in 2022, and he was at a crossroads where his funder had the gentleman who was paying for the entire property to be renovated, decided not to pursue it
Excuse me,
any
sir,
longer.
can you address the question? The
Yes.
question is about the licensure. Is
Yes.
any overview, any oversight,
I'm
any
getting there,
licensure
sir.
required?
I'm getting
That's
there,
my
sir.
question.
I'm trying to give background of who
We-
I
we
am and
have-
how we
I think
got
we
here.
have the background,
Yeah,
with all
just-
due respect.
Yeah, just answer the
Certainly.
question, we'll go back to you.
So Rhode Island Housing has already given them, Milton Rogers and Rogers Home, money for funding through the site acquisition program. So it's already deed restricted as affordable housing. And between them and the State Office of Housing, they do annual reviews of any project that is awarded funds through them. So they have an annual visit to make sure that the property is maintained through their funding sources.
Your testimony is that there's no overview of the patient care, of what goes on in the facility for treatment?
So a sober house, there were 3 projects funded in this current round. 2 of them I have gotten funded, and there is no licensure for a sober house as such. Certainly.
So, let me, if I may follow up on that question. So, Milton, you testified that you're going to have clinicians and doctors.
Yes.
Do they essentially run the facility from the medical standpoint, just like they would run a medical office?
What's going to actually transpire by having a doctor and clinicians, it helps Rogers Home also be able to get awards from the state. What a doctor will do is check in on the patient. He won't be a full-time. He'll do anywhere from, let's say, 10 to 20 hours a week. The clinicians will be on staff 8-hour shifts, whether they work in the evening, whether they work in the afternoon or the mornings.
So because the doctor is not running a medical clinic, you're not required to have any type of special licensing from the Department of Health?
Exactly. No, I'm not.
Okay. And the clinicians there are to provide to provide guidance and to provide essential counseling?
Yes, and I'm also a recovery coach in the state of Rhode Island also.
And to your knowledge, is there any particular requirements or licensing that needs to be obtained by Rogers Home for counseling and for clinical assistance?
No, there isn't, but I am certified, and my clinician will be certified, and the clinicians who are there will be certified.
Okay, so it's your testimony that the individuals have particular requirements to satisfy licensing, but the facility itself does not require any particular licensing?
Correct.
Okay, let me just follow that up. I assume you will have a director of the facility, someone in charge, correct?
That'll be me.
You're there
I won't
there
be
8 hours
24
a
hours,
day,
but I will have
7
the
days a week?
No, I'll have the clinicians, and I'll have managers, and I'll have other staff members that will be
Okay,
there.
what are the qualifications of the people and/or persons that are going to manage the facility on a day-to-day basis? What do you require for their qualifications?
Learn long-term sobriety and some type of educational background in substance abuse, social work, or mental health issues.
MSW, any kind of licensure?
Yes,
LPN, RN?
licensed clinical clinicians will be there.
I'm sorry?
Licensed clinical clinicians.
Okay.
So let me understand, you said that there were going to be three clinicians and a doctor, so you're saying one person at a time is basically there, one clinician is there 24 hours a day?
Yes,
Okay, and the doctor just kind of stops in when needed, or?
exactly.
When
He'll
requested.
basically be there to help people if they have any issues that are deeper than what a clinician can do.
And the clinician is to stay, like, are they awake during the time they're there, or like, what's, you know, their expectation in terms of oversight of the movement of
Well, there'll be
folks?
12 people there during the day, so they'll actually help them during what's their daily routine to do. I mean, I've had them at the other houses that I have, and they just help and make sure the person's either getting what they need as far as dental, health, medication, or whatever is needed.
What about the like, what allows someone to be at your facility? Like, is it, are there limits to who you'd have there? Like, in terms of either background or
I'm not
need?
Yes, I'm not going to do Suboxone or Methadone. Will not be allowed there. It'll be strictly total abstinence, and they have to have 30. They basically have to have went into a facility like the Phoenix House, Roger Williams, Salvation Army, some type of background where they've had treatment before they come into the home.
And what about any background checks and things like that? Is that?
Oh, definitely background checks.
Yeah.
That'll be definitely done. We won't take anybody who's had a violent crime. There'll be
Okay.
no violent crime offenders there at all.
Right, right. And so if, what about when things happen? If altercations happen or things, is there like a zero tolerance policy for
There's zero
those that?
tolerance for drug and alcohol use. I don't think there's any place in the world that hasn't had disagreement and argument with people, you know what I mean? So it's not
Sure.
like, it's not gonna be an MAA prelim living there. It's gonna be a place where there's gonna be rules and there's gonna be conditions on staying there.
Right, okay.
When you say that there's a doctor on site, what are the credentials of that doctor?
The credential of the doctor has to be involved in substance abuse.
Is it a medical? Is it MD, DO,
MD.
PhD?
MD.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, another follow-up. Are any of the services that you offer covered by any medical insurance plans that you're aware of?
Yes, I am. That's a great question, Mr. Daniels. That's why we have to have a doctor there. And when you have a doctor there, the state will allow you to get medical things done for you and with clinicians. With a doctor's sign off and a clinician, you're able to get things done through the state.
Who pays for the individual to live there? How's that work?
It's a self-pay.
Pardon?
It's
Self-pay?
self-pay.
Self-pay?
Self-pay, yes.
None of that is covered by a insurance program, to your knowledge.
It can be by having a doctor and clinician. We want to get to that stage, Mr.
Yep.
Daniels, but we'll probably more so start off with just self-pay, and then as time comes along, and there will be like a scholarship program, you know, and that'll be done through donations. And I feel as though once this place is getting started, there will be people who want to donate. I've had a lot of following in the past. I've been able personally to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for Rogers Home for Sober Living in the past, and I don't foresee there being any reason for me not to continue doing that.
Ms. Hicks, you have any questions?
I have several. If we can go back to the funding, you said that the 1.3 million that you received approximately is enough to complete the project. How will you run your home once that money is gone? I mean, you're going to have continued expenses for maintenance, for staff, et cetera.
Exactly. There's enough money in there to help the Rogers Home get started, and then from there, what we ask people to have in order to move in will help facilitate the project.
Okay, my second question concerns security. You said you'd have 24-hour-a-day security. Will it be merely electronic security? You said cameras, or will you actually have security people there?
I plan on having security people there, one person per 8 hours.
Okay, so that's a guarantee that you're using people, not just relying on electronics.
Exactly, people.
Okay, and then what would the screening process be for the people who would live there? I know you said you can house 12, and I'm sure that just in the state of Rhode Island, there are far more than 12 people who could use a facility like this. So how will you screen people?
We'll screen people, they'll come out of a treatment center. I mentioned before, it'll either be Phoenix House or an outside treatment center that they have. Stonington, Connecticut has some, and we'll screen them through where they've been staying at the last 30 days. You will have to have 30 days or more sobriety before you can even come in.
Okay, so you're not taking people who are at the beginning of their recovery. You're taking people who have already started the process, in other words.
Exactly. This will be the step that helps them get back on track. Because what usually happens in the state of Rhode Island, and happens at a lot of places, is people go to treatment center and they send them back out to the streets, and they're back at the treatment center again, less than 10 days. We want to make sure they have a strong foundation, and then we want to continue that foundation and help them get back into society. You're welcome.
Okay. Is there anything else you guys would like to add?
Yeah, yes, if I may, I just want to finish with Mr. Spinella, who's
Oh, please.
call him as a witness.
Yep.
Spinella, you started telling us a little bit about your story, so why don't you describe for the board what your role is with Rogers Homes and essentially what you've done
Sure.
to date with that.
Sure. So I met Milton in 2022 when his funding had run out, and we worked together to get him $750,000 to purchase the property through a site acquisition grant through the state of Rhode Island. That was granted. He's purchased the property. It is now deed restricted. Since then, there was one round of recovery funds, which is this current round, and we received 1.337 million of the, I think, 4.5 million total in this funding round. So we had to build a budget to complete the project and give him startup costs, to your question before. And so we built that budget with those thoughts in mind, that not only is it construction money to finish what he had started, but also some operational startup money to in a reserve account that would keep him going until such time as he's operating on a cash flow basis.
And Frank, who oversees the distribution of that money?
So the state, the Department of Housing is the awarder for this current recovery funds. And it goes through Michael Tundra, who runs this Community Development Block Grant Program, which you may know. He also runs this program.
And is this money currently earmarked for this program? Are there any other obstacles or other conditions that need to be satisfied prior to the effectuation of the transfer of this money?
We just need the zoning in place. Once that is, it is a reimbursement program. So once you accrue the cost, then the state will pay for it. So on a monthly basis, they won't just write a check for $1.3 million. They'll release it on a monthly basis as we draw the funds down.
And one last question. You testified earlier that the property is deed restricted. Can you describe that to the board and tell us what's
certainly.
deed restricted, why it's deed restricted?
When we, part of the site acquisition program, or the SAP, as Rhode Island Housing calls it, when they award funds to a development, and we've done these throughout the state, they attach a deed restriction on that, so it's already counting as affordable housing as soon as it's given its C of O. These apartments and these units, these residents, will count towards the town's affordable housing stock. Right now, the town's at 5.54%, I believe, and so these will count as soon as it's completed.
So does that mean that these aren't units per se, correct? They're bedrooms, so those 12 bedrooms qualify as an affordable unit?
Yes, that's correct. I would think it comes under the group home category, probably.
And so with that deed restriction, is it your understanding that this property could not be used for any other purpose other than affordable housing?
That is correct. Can only be used for the use they've given it the money for. Not only affordable housing, but a recovery home.
I have nothing further with the witness.
So explain that. So what if this use doesn't work out in 10 years? So that means the building can only be used for affordable housing in
Or the
perpetuity?
funds would have to be paid back. The funds that were given to it would have to be paid back. There are ways, like any deed restricted property, to remove that deed restriction, you would have to repay the state the funds that originally purchased it.
Wow, okay. All right. Any other questions, board member? No? Not yet? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else you guys want to add?
No, it will be available. Any questions, any comments?
Great, thank you. If you can
Thank
just
you.
turn off that mic. Thank you. Okay. So first, we'll start with the folks that are in favor of the petition. Is there anyone that'd like to come forward and speak in favor of the petition? Okay. Anyone here want to, up? Come on up. Just state and spell your name, please, and hit that little person button.
Hi, I'm Laura Hosley, Laura-Hosley.
You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. Please go ahead.
I live in Jamestown, but I've had a house that was my dad's in the Middlebridge area of South Kingstown for 50 years. And we've had it as a Section 8 with one elderly woman living there for almost 20 years. So connected to the community. I'm a student assistance counselor, so I actually work at Portsmouth Middle School, and my specialty is mental health, substance abuse prevention, and early intervention. I met Milton. I'm the one who was his first counselor. When he first came in, he was a mess. My thought was, this guy is not going to be alive. 10 years later, I ran into him at the Easy Pass office. He's in a suit, and I was shocked. I said, Milton? And sure enough, he had gotten sober and was very successful. Over the years, we have just crossed paths. He, for decades, went to the ACI and spoke on Friday nights. And my mother said, I would like to go hear him speak. So I brought my 90-year-old mother to the ACI to meet Milton, and, he was just amazing. I've been to his group home in, I think it's either Cranston or Warwick. It was on the line. Beautiful building, old Victorian. And the latest time we've crossed paths is, so I work at Portsmouth Middle. Not many students have initiated use, but I knew a couple had. So I asked him to come in and present to 2 English classes where I knew 2 of the students were present. And he did an amazing presentation. I got great feedback. The kids just crowded around him afterwards, and the teachers were very, very happy with him. Matter of fact, one teacher I knew was in recovery and let him know she was having a tough time, and he gave her resources. So I just wanted to let you know that I've known him for over 35 years, and he's always been such an upstanding person, and he's got a mission in life, as I'm sure I do too. But somehow we have to help. And there's this continuum of care, which is prevention, intervention, treatment, and recovery. But if you don't have all those pieces, you're really not helping people. So I just wanted to let people know.
Thank you. And tell me, working with a population that has had sort of challenges that bring them to places like this, I mean, is it what's your experience in sort of working with people like that? I mean, is it, because I think there's an assumption that folks are sort of on edge, or, you know, like that there's a real risk, you know, to the community, and concerns about that. I mean, sounds like that people are going to have to go through a recovery program to at least know that they've got things started. But what's been sort of, I mean, we don't have any feedback, at least yet, in terms of how these facilities operate and incidents or otherwise. I mean, is it?
Well, just personally, my brother and my father and my grandfather all had the disease of alcoholism. My father was a police chief. So I'm very experienced. I'm sure I always say to the kids, it's not an accident that I do this work. And a lot of the students I work with have family members who suffer from addiction. And I say to the kids, they're not bad people. It's a disease, and it's really difficult. They're doing the best they can. But I think with support, I mean, the AA meetings are amazing. And when people go through the recovery process, I feel like they just come out better on the other side. So if there is actually support from someone who really knows what they're doing, and the meetings, he didn't even mention them, I bet they're mandatory, and they'll be getting counseling and support and family support, they have their best chance at becoming the best version of themselves. Without that kind of help, they're lost. And, you know, there's that ripple effect. They're not just lost. Their family members are lost. Their kids are lost. So the more you can support them through this process, I think the better, and actually the safer and healthier your community is going to be.
Okay, may I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Okay, Ms. Oxley, you mentioned visiting a facility that Mr. Rogers runs in another town. Did you see anything there that concerned you?
No, and honestly, it was decades ago. I just remember I was so surprised at how beautiful it was, because it was an old Victorian that was restored with a porch, and it was a lovely place. That's my memory, but that's all I remember of it, honestly. But I trust Milton, having known him for all these years, and anytime I've asked him for anything, you know, there's another person who speaks at schools who's in recovery who charges $8,000 every time he comes. It's prohibitive. Milton came in, didn't charge a thing. You know, he just wants to help. So that's why I really value authenticity. And I think he's authentically trying to do the best he can to help people, because he was helped.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, board members? No? Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Anyone else want to speak on behalf of this? Okay. Anyone want to speak who's opposed or has some questions for the applicant? Yeah, come on up in any order. Whoever stands up first. Just in the price is right. Just state and spell your name for us, please.
James Crane, 108 Columbia Street, Wakefield.
And spell your name for us, please. Spell it.
C-R-A-N-E.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So please, what would you like to say?
Sure. One of the things I just wanted to address was some of the past performance of, I guess, the Rogers homes. I've worked at nonprofits before, typically in the role of financial services treasurer. One of the things that is required to do with nonprofits is to file an annual 990 form, which basically states the income, expenses, as well as the balance sheet of the particular organization. I might just read you currently what is posted on the IRS website. Excuse me. Rogers Home Incorporated in Wakefield, Rhode Island is a 501c3 nonprofit sober living facility focused on rehabilitation and support of individuals recovering from alcohol and drug dependency. It operates as a halfway house, provided shelter, food, and counseling, not medical services. Key financial overview. This is from their 990 form. Typically, these forms are filed and required to be filed annually by April 15th. The last form that I could find filed with the IRS was in December of 2001. Total revenue, you know, we've seen, it certainly appears that what we've been led to believe is that the organization, this particular project is going to be well funded. Medical services, security, cooks, managers, I think, was also brought into the play. Just to give you an idea for, I guess this was either 1 or 2 homes. I'm not sure at the time. This was for 2021. Total revenue was $140,000. Mostly program services, $113,000 plus contributions, $27,000. Expenses, $190,000. Net assets were negative. Liabilities exceeded assets. Revenue primarily comes from residential program fees, rent, contributions for sober living, donations and grants, no significant investment or other income in recent years. Officers and directors, Milton Rogers typically receives no compensation for his services. The organization has shown fluctuating finances with periods of net loss and reliance on contributions. I might just add one thing here. These 990 forms detail revenue sources, expenses, governance, and other grants received, which can help understand funding. Examples being residential payments, donations, possible government, foundational support for treatment programs. Note, as a small sober living nonprofit, it has no full-time employees in recent reports and operates with limited staff and volunteers. For court-mandated placements, participants or families, often covering the costs directly, or via insurance, public aid, with organizations potentially receiving program fees. Always verify the latest filings directly because of data lags. I don't know, perhaps Mr. Rogers can address the issue why the funds haven't, or the 990s haven't been filed.
Well, it's not really our purview, it's not our oversight as to their filings with the IRS and so forth. I mean, we can only assume, you know, based on his funding
Right.
that he's received, that his filings are all up to date, but, you know,
Right.
but we can certainly ask the question.
Understand. I just wanted to bring the attention to the board that.
Well, thank you.
The distinct difference between what is being proposed as opposed to what evidence actually exists.
So do you feel like that what he's requesting is in contradiction to what their role is as a nonprofit, or what they're portraying as their role?
Well, I've lived in the world of nonprofits, and I know the difficulties there are in raising funds. It's substantial, and you know, clearly he's received significant help to do that. It's great that the financing, and you've questioned it, is in place, you know, for getting the home up and operational. My concern is the ongoing operation of the home, that it fits all the, I guess, the standards that he is proposing.
Standards in the sense of making sure that it's properly staffed and so forth?
Properly staffed, yes.
Right,
And,
right.
and the residents are monitored properly.
In terms of intake and so forth, to make
Yes.
sure that, as well as,
Yep.
you know, ongoing oversight,
Exactly.
as it were.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. I'm sorry, hang on. Board members, any questions? No? Okay, thank you. Yeah, come on up. And again, just please state and spell your name.
Yes, Emily Diamond, EMILY DIAMOND.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
That's okay, left to right.
All right, thank you, thank you. I do want to, I want to thank Mr. Rogers and his witnesses for explaining the situation, and I really do believe in the mission and this work, but I do want to remind the board that you're here to evaluate this particular location for this purpose, not the value of this offering. So I have lived in Wakefield for 6 years now, together with my husband. We have renovated 2 historic houses on the street. We're raising 2 small children. I just registered my daughter for kindergarten in the coming year. Since we moved to this neighborhood where the property is, we've seen it revitalize. We've seen abandoned and dilapidated houses be brought back to life. Families have begun to move back into the neighborhood where we didn't have very many for a while. We as a town have invested millions of dollars in a state-of-the-art high school that cements the Columbia Street neighborhood as a real linchpin for the South Kingstown community. But through the entire time that I've lived here, the abandoned building that has always claimed to soon be becoming the Rogers Home Rehab Center, it has at best been an eyesore, but at worst been dangerous to our blossoming community. So for more than 6 years, it stood at a prominent location in our town as a kind of decrepit, derelict building. The lawn was rarely mowed. When it was, oftentimes all the clippings were left strewn all over the sidewalks for weeks. Snow was not removed from sidewalks until we, the neighbors, had to call the town several times to complain about not being able to safely use the sidewalks with our small children for days to weeks after a storm would happen. At points, there has been evidence of doors and windows being left open on the property, animals potentially entering, some evidence of people entering the house and using it, leaving trash, et cetera, inside and around the building. And we as the neighbors have been the ones to have to call and report this to the city to deal with. The owner, to my knowledge, has not been present to care for the property over the past 6 years that I have been here. I am the daughter of a man who has benefited from alcohol rehabilitation homes on more than one occasion, so I understand how important this work is, but also how sensitive these operations are. To successfully and safely run a business such as this in a busy downtown area like ours, it takes an immense amount of commitment, presence, responsibility, oversight, and funding that I have not seen demonstrated by the property owner over the course of the past 6 years that I've lived here. There's also good reason that this property is not currently zoned to support this kind of use. I'd like you to consider the delicate and sensitive place that new recovery residents are in, one that I understand. I've seen my father go through it multiple times. I have seen my brother-in-law and sister-in-law go through these homes as well. This property that we're talking about is literally next door to a bar and across the street from a dispensary, and next door to a drug paraphernalia store. It is on a street that is a major commuting zone for South Kingstown High School walking commuters. So we have dozens of 14 to 18-year-old children passing by this location every day on foot, alone. They walk by my house. I see them every single day. I would just like you to consider the implications of bringing dozens of temporary residents, many of whom are not from our community, maybe from all over the state or elsewhere, and facing and working through their own massive personal and emotional struggles into this environment. While Mr. Rogers mentioned security, I'm sorry, it was a little hard to hear, but what I heard was 8 hours of physical security person there. If it actually is a 24-hour physical security person, I do invite him to clarify that. But overall, this does not seem like an appropriate zone to house such a sensitive business, particularly given the presence or absence that the landlord has had over the past 6 years and this track record of not taking ownership and pride in the building, which we know was one of the requirements of the last special use permit that he was awarded. So while I applaud the mission of this business, and I have personally experienced the impact that these homes can have on individuals, it's the job of the zoning board to ensure that it places this in a location where both the residents and our fellow citizens can thrive. And based on Mr. Rogers' testimony, it sounds like this funding could be used for the same purpose elsewhere. It was, again, a little bit hard to follow, but I just bring up a question of whether this is the best location for the residents to be able to thrive in this kind of environment. Thank you.
Hang on one sec. Any questions, board members? We'll ask them about the security. I thought they were suggesting that it's 8-hour shifts.
Okay.
So, but I will ask that for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it. Yeah, thank you. Come on up. Nope, sorry, this gentleman right here. We'll get through all that, and then we'll ask you guys a bunch of questions all at once. So just please spell and state your name, please.
My name is Scott Schnur. That's SCOTT-SCHNUR.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So please go ahead.
My name is Scott, and I live on Columbia Street, just a few houses up from the proposed facility. I walk by it almost every day, either by myself or with my 4-year-old son and my dog. I've lived here in Wakefield for about 1.5 years. We chose to move to Rhode Island and make a home in this community, and really love and we're attracted to the neighborhood in Columbia Street, especially given its proximity to downtown, its walkability, and its proximity to the school. And I really have some questions coming into this night. As members of the board have identified, safety matters, and I am really wondering about what safety means in the context of having this facility in the neighborhood and what that will do. I want to underscore, I think similarly to other people here, that I do think that recovery is an important part of maintaining sobriety and for people on that journey, but the change to the character in the neighborhood I think is important to consider. Not only looking forward and some of the financial implications, which I'll loop back to, but also about what has been going on. As I think you've already heard testimony tonight, both from people on the board in questioning, as well as some folks that have already spoken, the house has not been being maintained at all. And so when we talk about safety, I really think back to this past winter when I found myself walking in the middle of Columbia Street with my son or with my dog, with cars whizzing by because mounds of snow and feet of snow had not been removed from the sidewalk. I think about the trash that is in the yard and the decaying building itself, watching mildew and mold grow on the awning and the facade and other structural things be neglected. This to me does not say safety, nor does it say safety when I see children walking to the high school and had to walk with them at times in the ice and snow. So the property is not being well maintained. And I know that there have been various extensions to this and various travails for the applicant, but if he does have a commitment to the neighborhood, I would like to see that played out and would have liked to see that played out since the time I became a resident here in Wakefield. I would also like to echo one of the questions that someone else already asked, which is what is the applicant's actual concrete plan for setting people up for success when he's proposing to have a sober living recovery center directly next to a head shop across the street from a very active dispensary, which, whether people like it or not, is a major part of our economy in the state and in Wakefield, and within walking distance to a bar that is usually pretty crowded, to say nothing of a brewery up the street or any of the other businesses in downtown Wakefield. And finally, I really have questions about the long-term financial impacts and commitments that the town might be making through this zoning variance. Specifically, it was brought up that if the business failed, if something happened in the next future X amount of years, it seems sort of into perpetuity based on what we heard, that if there were any changes or proposed changes in the use of the building, then the town of South Kingstown would actually owe the state of Rhode Island $1.337 million. That to me is something that I think really needs to be thought about if that is the case, because that means that the success like the financial health of our town and our tax dollars are being asked in perpetuity to be committed to paying back the loss or like the closure costs of a business that has so far not been maintained and has not been run well enough to fill out the necessary paperwork in over 7 years. So
I don't think that was what was suggested, is to say that the town is on the hook for it. It's just a matter of that the covenant, that like the restriction on the deed stays until that's paid off. It's not that the town is responsible for it.
So if it's not paid off in the amount of time, what happens?
If it's not paid
who
off,
pays back what?
It's not
did
a
I
payback.
misunderstand that?
It just means the deed is restricted, and that the building can't be used for anything other than affordable housing.
Okay. My other question is, I guess, is this the kind of affordable housing that's actually needed in Wakefield? We know that there's a housing shortage for students and for other community members that also need access to affordable housing. So if this is a way to goose the numbers for affordable housing without actually solving that problem in a holistic way, I don't think that this is the right decision for South Kingstown. Thank you.
Thank you. No. Okay, anyone else want to speak on behalf of this petition? Okay, so let's ask a few of these questions. Oh, I'm sorry, come on up. Good evening.
Good evening. Let me, okay, just the button's already on? Okay, let me get my notes here.
So just please state and spell your name for us.
Absolutely. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, and esteemed members of the board. My name is Kevin Diamond. I'm a local architect. I own a construction company.
Just spell your name for us, please.
Sorry, Kevin Diamond, KevinDiamond.
You can swear to tell the whole truth and
I
nothing but
swear
the truth.
to tell the whole truth.
Excellent. So go ahead,
nothing
Mr.
but the
Diamond.
truth. Excellent. Thank you all for being here tonight. So we've heard a lot, I think, this evening, and I think an important thing to remember is focusing on why we're here and what we talk a lot about purview, right? What is the purview of this board? What is the goal of this board? What is the goal of the ordinance? What is the goal of the master plan of the city? What is the goal of Euclidean zoning? What is the goal of Zoning Enabling Act of 1991 for the state of Rhode Island? Why are all these things here? I think Mr. Rogers made an amazing testimony about his life. I think that he's obviously a phenomenal speaker. He has an amazing story. He's helped a lot of people. Nobody would argue that that's beautiful, right? That's all an amazing thing, but that's not really why we're here tonight. No one would ever question whether or not this is a good person, that his heart's in the right spot. What we're here to talk about is zoning, and should this use be allowed in a place that prohibits this use? And has he made good on any of the promises that he's been making since 2019? He's let, to the best of my knowledge, all of his permissions lapse. He's not here asking for an extension. He's here asking for, let's be honest, the most extraordinary type of zoning relief that one can ask for. This is not asking for 5-foot setback relief. This is not asking for a special use permit where the zoning ordinance sets up a pathway to doing something if you follow certain steps. This is a prohibited use. And he's asking I don't know if it's fully been contextualized how big this ask is. This is seismic. And when a seismic zoning question is being asked of this board, we need to not, I think, be distracted by the beauty and the splendor of this gentleman's story and who he is and why he's great and why his mission's great. Nobody would question that. Our job, or your job, I should say, your job is to think about, does he meet the standards? And he doesn't. Aside from the fact that he's broken every single promise he has made this community. Somebody on the board, I was in the back and I couldn't hear, it may have been Commissioner Jeff saying, you've made promises, or maybe it was Ben, it was somebody in this corner saying, you made a promise last time you were here that you would maintain the building and you would do this, that, and the other. You just heard from every neighbor who has spoke that he has not made good on those promises. He's not. Is this somebody you want running the most sensitive operation in a neighborhood zone, commercial neighborhood? Absolutely not. Like, why would we believe that anything that has been promised today would be made good when every other promise has been broken. So I just want to make sure that we're really contextualizing that this is, in my understanding, and I'm just an architect, okay? But that is an extraordinary ask. I also want to talk about logistics, and I think this is really important. $1 million, folks, is not what it used to be. Inflation is a sticky little thing, isn't it? $1.37 million divided by the number of square feet that the tax assessor has down for this building comes out to about $199 per square foot, $200 a square foot. I'm not the best mathematician, but it's somewhere in that range. That is not enough money to restore a building of that type. Now, he claims that the building is already almost done, but I've been in this building with permission, and I can assure you that, number one, the building codes have changed, as Mr. Gorman can attest, since the time this project has started. I would imagine a new building permit must be issued to start work. The energy code has changed. The Rhode Island Rehabilitation Code has changed, how it references NFPA 101 Life Safety Code. All the building codes that comport back to that, all of those have changed. So I was responsible for roughly 20% of all new housing units added to Providence last year as the architect. I build a lot. I can explain to you that $200 a square foot doesn't get you what you think it does. And if that's his budget to finish a project that likely needs backtracking, that likely needs a new permit, that likely needs to comport to very different codes than he began with, I can go off for hours about what that means. I won't. Furniture, TVs, a fitness facility, maintenance, which is a joke because we've seen what maintenance means to this gentleman. That is not enough money. So I think that, folks have come up and testified about the financial prowess of the organization, and I think that does play into it, because if the funds run dry and he has to reach into his pocket to maintain things, well, I think we all know he's given us an amazing preview. Thank you. He's given us an amazing preview of what he would do when he had to reach into his money, his own pockets when funding has run dry. The building falls into disarray. There's mold everywhere. Doors are left open. The grass isn't cut. If you go by it today, the grass looks great. Why? Because he's asking for something. It looks wonderful because he's putting together a performance and a presentation, but that's not what this is about. This is about an extraordinary zoning ask. So I implore you to understand the standards. And finally, I'll leave you with this. The basis for this ask is not, is it a good mission? Not, is his story wonderful? It is. I think he's a great guy. Do we need more people like him in the world? That's not the question. The question is, does he meet the standards for a use variance? In one of the standards, as I understand it, I do read our ordinance pretty frequently, as I do many other ordinances throughout the state, given the work that I do, is there any other beneficial use to the parcel? And if he has to argue that there isn't, that's false. You can do affordable housing there. You're in the commercial neighborhood zone. There are a multitude of things you can do at that building. To say that only thing you can do is a use that obviously puts everybody's back up doesn't seem logical to me. It doesn't seem right to me. And everybody can see through that if you look at the facts. Like, there's no reason to believe that you couldn't say, hey, you know what, we're going to turn this into a couple of apartments for young families that are needing affordable housing. That's a phenomenal use. He has an entire team of experts right here that, for a living, secure affordable housing grants and pathways. Why can't they do that here? Why do they have to open a use that is strictly prohibited? And it's not like it can't happen somewhere else. Commissioner Daniels asked a really good question, and I think I may have kind of got what he was getting at. He was asking, can this happen anywhere in the city? And if the answer is no, well then let it happen here, because if it can't happen anywhere, let's put it somewhere. But that wasn't the answer from Mr. Gorman. The answer is this can happen somewhere, and that is why zoning exists. That's why we have zones, not just because you buy something and hope for the best. So this is not a case of a zoning relief that sunset and he's trying to get out in front of it and be proactive and say, I'd like to extend. I'm asking for something seismic. And the basis of that ask, to me, is not real. So that is what I'd like to implore you to think about. And it's a really big question. I think the results are seismic, just as big as the ask is. And I think that, if this is not approved tonight, maybe the applicant comes back with more details about what is going to, why can't he do anything else there? I think that's probably the biggest question I would ask. The mission is kind of irrelevant, unfortunately. Our job, or your job, our job as listeners and your job as the commission, is to understand why he's asking this and why that should be granted. And I haven't heard anything yet that would support that. So thank you very much. Sorry to be long-winded. I'm very passionate about my community. I've served on boards in this town in the past. I'm a familiar face to some, and I take a lot of pride in my work. I take a lot of pride in this neighborhood. My wife testified earlier. We have 2 young kids. We purposely picked this area to raise our family. I don't even like walking by the building now because in the winter, it's not like he shovels 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 days late. He just doesn't shovel all winter. So I'm walking through the street with a stroller, a dog leash tied around my waist, 2 kids screaming at me, cars whizzing by because he can't shovel a driveway. Do you think he's going to keep any promise that he's made this evening? No, he won't. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions for me? I'd love to answer them.
Mr. Donovan, any questions, Mr. Donovan?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donovan. Appreciate it. All right, anyone else out there want to speak on behalf of this petition? Okay, Councilor, Mr. Rogers, just a few follow-up questions relative to the questions asked. Is the deed restriction current on the building?
It is.
It is, and it was with this round of funding that
It was not. It was with a previous round of funding.
The previous round of funding?
Correct.
Okay, so, and how much was that previous round of funding?
750,000.
Yes.
And so 750,000 was already invested
Correct.
into this property?
Yep.
And how long ago was that 750,000?
What year was that? 2 years ago? 2 years ago.
And basically the project has been idle since that?
Essentially.
I've had contractors go in and out of the project and people do work in and out of the project.
Okay. And then there was a question about the security. Is that 24-hour security, like persons on site?
Yes,
Yes.
as I stated earlier.
Okay. And you also stated that the organization is sustainable in its current form. You guys receive enough funding either from outside sources or folks that are paying their way through.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay. And not that you have to answer it, but you guys are currently, sound and functional within the nonprofit in terms of all of your paperwork is filed and so forth, and you guys are a legal 501c3?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Board members, questions at this time? Do you guys want to add anything relative to what was asked?
What was stated, I heard a few people speak about 6 years of no work being done. As I stated earlier, I broke my shoulder in half. I know that's nobody's concern, but mine. Dr. Andrew Green had to perform 4 surgeries on me. They went inside my shoulder, took my humerus out, put it back in, had to go to the hospital, put it back in, put it back out from 2021 to 2024. Stated, pictured, in here, if anybody needs to see it.
Understood. I mean, no
They were
one's
asking-
sort of attacking that credibility. I think,
Okay.
I mean, if you were the guy mowing the lawn, then I can say yes, or you were the guy shoveling it, then I'd say absolutely. But it's an organization. There's an expectation that the property's maintained, sidewalks are required to be shoveled. We had a really tough winter. I totally get it, but at the same time, there's an expectation that we're taking care of our properties, and it sets a standard.
Exactly.
And an expectation that the community then sees 6 years of this, and then their expectation is the next time things get hard, you're just going to walk away. So I think it's just being reassured that the organization is going to maintain the building and maintain the facility, as well as the people that are coming through. So So, no, I don't think the intent is to say that you know, that we expected you to shovel.
Understandable.
Yeah. Did you want to add anything else?
No, we're good.
Okay,
We're
any other
thank you.
questions? No? Thank you. Oh, could you guys just shut off that mic for me? Oh, thank you, Ms. Goins. It's okay. It's just the feedback. So, okay, so it sounds like we've heard from everybody out there. Does anyone have any thoughts they'd like to share to start it? Who wants to start? Mr. Elia?
I will say that I have some serious concerns about the viability of this project. And I do have concerns that if we were to approve this, that if the viability of this project does not meet its expectations, that we might be creating a long-term burden for this community. We've seen that this property has not been upkept in the manner that we were guaranteed it would be. And that gets to, I think, a business and its owner's word and credibility over a long term. And I have some concerns about that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Elia. Mr. Daniels or Ms. Hicks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't disagree with my colleague, Mr. Elia. I'll go back to my initial question and concern is that the Town Council of South Kingstown passed an ordinance that took this particular type of facility out of residential areas. I'm not going to question why they did that, and I'm certainly not going to fly in the face of that at this point based on what I've heard. What I've heard from the opposition, Mr. Crane indicated some financial concerns. He has some background in nonprofits, and I take that to heart. What we have is a gross figure from the applicant. We don't have any breakdown of how, what, where, when it's going to be spent. And I also have to say that I agree with much of what Mr. Diamond said. We're not here to evaluate the fine gentleman that Mr. Rogers is and what he does. What we're here is to talk about a particular piece of property for which the use is no longer permitted under the ordinance unless we were to grant it. And I think that's problematic. I also agree with Mr. Elia and with some of the other objectors that the property has not been maintained as it should have been. It certainly wouldn't take much to shovel the walks, cut the grass, send somebody in on a routine basis to do some cleanup, and that hasn't been done since the original grant for the special use permit was given back several years ago. And, you know, history sometimes is a good way of looking at what could occur in the future. I voted for this back during that time, but as time goes on, and the fact that the council did change the ordinance, to me is meaningful. So with that, I can't approve a use. I don't think the necessary criteria has been met for that particular use on this property. There's other properties, there's other areas in town where this use could be easily obtained, but not in a residential area based on some of the opposition we have. And again, just based on the fact that I'm not going to substitute my judgment for what the council did when they said we will not allow this facility in residential zones. So I'm opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Ms. Hicks, do you want to add to any of that?
I don't have a lot to add. I think part of the problem is that when the building, you know, initially was proposed to be a sober house, The zoning was different. It was many years ago, so the zoning changed after the process began. And the other thing is, people have mentioned the fact that there is a, what do they call it, a head shop next door. I mean, until recently, that was a beauty parlor. So again, that came in, you know, you can't blame that on the applicant. But I'm conflicted about the funding. I really have concerns about whether you'll have the funding to maintain it once it opens. And I don't know what happens, you know, what sources of funding are out there to keep it going. You know, location, kind of a lot of what I'm hearing is, I like the idea, but I don't want it on my street. Well, whose street is going to welcome it? I mean, you know.
So, are you, do you know how?
How I would vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, not right this minute. I'm hoping to hear
Okay.
more to clarify things, but.
Well, there's only one of us left.
I know, and, I mean, I think it's, I know the neighbors are not going to be happy to hear this, but I don't think it's a bad location for that type of facility if all of the things that need to be in place are in place. It's on a bus line. There's employment opportunities nearby. I mean.
And Mr. Chair, you have yet to speak on this. I know Attorney Mancini is aware of his options at this point. I just want to invite, if the applicant wants the board to go forward with a decision, and he can do with that what he might, or if the applicant wants at this time to withdraw the application, given that it seems like we have two members who are not going to be voting in favor.
All right, great. So I'm going to call Lifeline in withdrawal at this point.
Okay, so at this point.
And die another day.
Okay, at this point, the application is withdrawn. That's without prejudice. You know, if as you know, the board, if it denies this application, they can't come back for a year unless, you know, substantial circumstances changed. With the application being withdrawn, they could refile it at some point. They could seek another form of relief. The ball is in their court. But at this point, you've had the public hearing. The application at this point is withdrawn at the applicant's request.
So we would just have to make a motion to recognize it being withdrawn, or not even? It's
I'm
just
not,
withdrawn.
You know, and you've heard me do this before many times, applicants without counsel, just to make them aware of their options. At this point, the applicant is requesting that the application be withdrawn. I would suggest if that's what they want to do versus go ahead and have the board make a decision, I think denying the relief, that they have the right to withdraw the application.
They do, yes. Okay. Okay, so the application has been withdrawn for Rogers Home at this time, so as it stands. So that means we can move on to the next petition. So, thank you.
Could we just take a brief
Yeah, I
recess
was
while we
gonna
try to
say.
figure out who wants to stick with us for another hour or so?
Yeah, definitely. You know, well, just so you guys know that the ones coming up should be fairly straightforward. So hopefully we'll make it through. All right. Yeah, so we'll get started up again. Sleeping bag, no. So I'm actually just going to ask us to do the third one, and then we'll go to the second one. So the next one is Brian Pieck, is that right? Peck? Just Peck, okay. Brian Peck of 44 Danbury Road, New Milton, Connecticut, 06776, requests a special use permit under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a 5-foot by 20-foot deck attached to the seasonal cottage. Special use permit is required per the zoning ordinance, sections 203, special use permit for addition, enlargement, expansion, or intensification. Section 608 are coastal community overlay district, and section 907 are standards of relief. The owner of the cottage at 667 Succotash Road is Candlewood Valley Holdings, LLC of 44 Danbury, Connecticut, New Milford, Connecticut, Danbury Road in New Milford, Connecticut, 06776, property owned by Village at Potter's Pond, LLC, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 87-3, Lot 5-64, and is zoned CW. Good evening.
Good evening.
And you are?
Brian Peck, Brian Pieck.
And do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. What would you like to do?
I am the owner of 667 Succotash Road, and the property on the east-southeast side, I'm at the lowest point at VPP, the Village of Potter's Pond. Over heavy rainstorms, there's always standing water in that location. I would like to just, instead of doing a patio, which would be undermined by standing water, I would just like to do the deck 5 feet wide by 20 feet long, approximately 17 to 18 inches high, of course, low enough so there wouldn't be any railings.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, since you're under that 26-inch. It's not going to take up any parking spaces?
No, sir.
Is this going to get any closer to anybody next to you or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay, board members, any questions?
Mr. Chairman, just for the building officials, is there any requirement on the height there because they're in the coastal overlay district on the deck itself? It looks like it's on a block or two. Is there any height restriction because they are in a coastal overlay district?
So there'd be a limit on the area of the deck, so he's certainly under the 200 square foot, which is the max allowed. But if relative to the height from grade, he would just be required to have guards if it was over 30 inches. But it appears like it'd be under 30 inches from grade, so.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, any other questions, board members? No? Want to add anything?
No, thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone out there that want to speak on behalf of this petition? For or against? No? Okay. Can someone make a motion? Thank you. Mr. Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The chairman read the petition of Brian Pieck of Danbury Road, New Milford, Connecticut, requesting a special use permit. It's been read into the record, and the associated documents are part of the file. This is a piece of property that is basically a single lot, and it is in a coastal community overlay district and does require a special use permit for any addition or enlargement. The applicant is seeking to construct a 5 by 20 deck, and he's testified that that's the only relief he is seeking in this particular area. And without looking further in the record, I assume that we have permission from the landowner. Is that correct? Is that part of the record?
Yes.
We do have the owner affidavit signed by the landowner.
We have the affidavit? Okay,
Yes,
I didn't
we do.
notice that. Okay, so the affidavit is signed by the landowner. The board, Brian Pieck, the owner, spoke. There was no one else speaking in opposition to this petition, and the board finds that the special use is specifically authorized by the ordinance because enlargement and additions are allowed in this district by special use permit in the coastal community overlay district and also in under Section 203 of our zoning ordinance. The board finds that the special use meets all the criteria set forth in the subsection of this ordinance. There are no special requirements. This is simply the addition of a deck. They're not adding any utilities, any parking, anything except the deck. And there's no reason to deal with ingress and egress to the lot, trash or storage, utilities, screening, buffering, signs, anything else. Very simple, straightforward special use permit for the addition of a deck. There are no special conditions to be attached to this approval, and with that, I recommend we grant the application.
Motion was made by Mr. Daniels. Can I get a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Hicks. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Daniels? Aye. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Elia? Aye. Mr. Cagdena? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Sorry, I won't do that again. Have a good night. So I'm going to switch it around one more time. We're going to do Bellefleur next, because I know they've been up here before. Jean-Luc Bellefleur of 404 Roosevelt Avenue of 502 Central Falls, Rhode Island 02863, requesting a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a single-family dwelling located 9.9 feet from the property line. Required yard setback is 14.4, therefore 4.5 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.63, or 63 acres? 63 acres. Or is it a 0.63? Okay.
0.63.
Okay. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 205, single non-conforming lots of recorded lots rather, and section 907 of standards of relief. Applicant has previously obtained a dimensional variance for the requested relief, however, failed to obtain a building permit prior to the variance expiration. Owners of the property are Jean-Luc Bellefleur and Elizabeth Alponte for premises located at 78 Brant Road South, South Kingstown. Assessors map 90-4, lot 130, and is zoned R80. Good evening.
Hi.
And you guys are?
So Jean-Luc Bellefleur, and this is my wife, Elizabeth.
All right,
Aponte.
and spell both your names for me.
So Jean-Luc, last name Bellefleur.
And get?
Elizabeth Aponte, Elizabeth, Aponte, Aponte.
And both you guys swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
We do.
Excellent. So you guys were here before?
Yes.
Exact same thing? Anything different? Anything change?
The only thing that I just wanted to correct is we did receive our building permit officially in 2025, April last year.
Yep.
And then that had since expired. We had a child. So it's no fault except for our own that this happened. We didn't request our extension in time. Basically, we had all the permits in place. The contracting company that could do the screw pilings, they were not able to do it during that summer. So we knew, hey, we're not going to be able to do it till the following spring. Then we switched gears, compartmentalized, had a child, didn't pick this up back until January 2026. And then when I was kind of doing my due diligence before we started kind of open up more site work, we realized this, contacted the town. And at that point, we realized, hey, we can't extend the building permit because the variance within the building permit had since expired. And one thing to note, originally our relief was for 30.1 feet because the zoning at that time was 40 feet. Now we're just requesting 4.5 feet of relief because it's been updated to be 14.4 feet is what's required.
Yeah, because now it's a non-conforming lot of record, so it's a proportionate relative to the sideline.
Yep.
At this point, okay. And you still have the child? You said you had a child.
Yeah. Yep. He's alive and well.
So, all right. So nothing else is changing. Same plan, same specs.
Exactly same plans.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Board members, any questions? I see this is updated though.
Yeah, so we updated to do the new zoning kind of 14.4 feet. And then we went through the, whoever our abutters are, there was like one or two that we had to update the names.
Okay. Okay. Board members, any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, are you
Ms. Hicks?
situating the house in exactly the same place that you had planned to put it the last time you were here?
Yes, and it's situated on an angle, so it's really the corner that's on the street that's actually kind of in that setback that we're requesting. But as you go farther into the lot, it's less relief is needed. So we just situate it for the least amount of relief possible.
And to respect the environment, because we want to keep it green and respect the wetlands.
Thank you. Any other questions, board members? No? Okay. Do you guys want to add anything else?
We're going to be timely and make sure we get this done as soon as possible. Like we were.
You don't want to pay for it again?
Trust me, if I could dig the holes, I would. But
yeah, no, understood.
I do want to add, though, that we recognize this was our mistake
Sure.
and take responsibility for that.
It's okay. You don't. It's not that bad. You guys are okay. Yeah, things happen.
Thank you for
Kids happen. You know, it's yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay,
And-
so Rob, is this considered a new application? It's not a renewal? No, okay.
It's new, and we have to hear everything and consider it again from scratch.
It's a new application, but as we've seen and recently, the board can rely on findings from the previous decision.
Anyone out there want to speak on behalf of this petition, for or against? Come on up. Just please state and spell your name, turn on the mic and speak. Yeah.
Good evening, Jennifer Joubert, Jennifer Joubert.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So what would you like to say?
Thank you. We live at 70 Brant Road South, and we have been living there for almost 2 years now. We are native Rhode Islanders. We've been living here our whole life and in South Kingstown for over 10 years now. With our 3 children, we live at this residence full-time. One of my arguments was going to be that although the solicitor just indicated it, the ordinance requires that you request the extension timely or it can be denied. The denial goes with a 1-year ban of reapplying. And when you get your first extension, it seems that you do not need approval. It's kind of given. And then the second one, you need to show that you have the ability to proceed with the project. This project has not broken ground in over 4 years. And the fact that the prior variance was granted, we would ask that it have no weight and that it be renewed and reviewed in its full. I'm glad that the applicant indicated that their affidavit has false information, because that's what I was going to raise, that they filed a false affidavit with the board because I have exhibits, but I didn't see anything in the rules that I could introduce them, but I'd like to have the record be preserved. And so I have a formal objection and exhibits, if I could pass them.
Of course. Yeah, bring it on up.
That can be called Objector's Exhibit A.
Okay. Of course.
And if I could have it the first time, I would have objected to this variance, but I didn't have legal ownership at the time. I'd say that this fails to meet the burden for the variance request. I'd argue that the hardship is not because of the land itself, but it's self-made. When they purchased the property, they knew the zoning laws, and they still decided to go forward with purchasing it. I'd also say that it's against the intent and purpose of the code. The purpose of the code is to keep the side yard setbacks for air, light, space, safety. This zone is R80. It has a minimum square foot of 80,000 square feet. And the purpose of our zone is that we are supposed to have large rural open residential lots. When the prior request was made was when 207 was still in effect. It appears that now the board looks at 205 setbacks. That greatly reduced the restriction, because when they first applied, they were asking for a 30-foot variance from the 40-foot yard setback. Now they're asking for less, so it seems like it's not as egregious. But we argue that even with this new setback in 205, that it's proportionate to the lot, it doesn't mean that they can still come in and just ask for variances on top of that. I mean, they're asking for a 40-foot setback to be, they're putting their house less than 10 feet from our house. It's almost eliminating the buffer zone that's supposed to be there. I'm also arguing that it greatly goes against the layout of the neighborhood, and it could possibly decrease the value of my home. They're attempting to build a house that is the tallest that it can be, 9 feet from my property. And my concern is that there's going to be water runoff onto my property. They're already building up high because it is in an extremely wet area that could flood. I'm also concerned about privacy, because every other house is, and I have in the pictures that they are very spaced apart from their borders. There's trees in the middle and they're very spaced out. And that's the purpose of our neighborhood. And to put a house completely facing our bedroom, our bathrooms, and our outdoor shower takes away from our privacy. I'm also concerned that the construction is going to be difficult to be done being that close to our house. In October, they had trees removed, and they also ruined vegetation on our property. We had started putting plants and trees, and there's also vegetation that was there from the vacant lot, and it ruined vegetation that is on our side of the property. We also dispute where they have the survey line, and they are encroaching upon our land even further. So we have a good faith basis to argue that the boundary line is not even where it is. And so if the board does decide to allow this, I would ask that it be restricted to being owner occupied, or at least inquire with the applicants on HOA fees. So our residence is a private road area. It is mandatory HOA fees, and our roads are all dirt, and they're very narrow. And we just had them graded because they just cannot keep being maintained. They're getting ruined by any construction, any cars that come through that are large, delivery, and all of that. And so when we don't have a member paying their HOA dues, we have to suffer the cost, and the construction is going to ruin the roads. And so we're just concerned that they've already had a tax lien on the property. I don't believe that they're paying their HOA dues, and they claim that they want to have it owner occupied, that they are going to be occupying this residence, but it has taken many years to even break ground, as well as the fact that the variance indicates that they're not supposed to economically benefit from having this variance. So our concern is that they are going to economically benefit if they are not required to have it owner occupied, and that it's just going to be some kind of rental or Airbnb. So I would ask that the board inquire upon that as well.
Well, we can't restrict people from not renting their house in our decision. So that's the town rules relative to what and how long things can be rented out, but we can't sort of require someone not to rent it out. And I know issues like runoff, you're not allowed, water cannot leave your property. It's the law. So any house that's built has to collect and use and manage the water on site these days. It's not the same as it used to be. So at least those few things. But obviously, now the person adjacent to you, is a McDonald's, Diane McDonald, it seems to be the same distance away as this house will be from you.
I'm not sure That is.
The one to the north, or to the east of you, near Mallard Road, that house is pretty much the same distance as this one will be.
Well, you also have the fact that there's nothing built there. I know the prior restriction asked them to put up like a buffer arborvitae, and that's going to take many years to grow. Currently, we have a huge arborvitae that is taller than the house behind me.
Right.
And behind is a lot different than a side yard where our house, everything is facing the salt pond. It was meant to be facing the salt pond. Nothing was ever built there, and I believe it was never built there for a reason, because you can't conform to the use. And even with this new law in 2020, the new variance that you can have less of a setback and they still need it, it just shows that it's just too close. And I would also argue that because the house is already there, it's a pre-existing structure. This is going to be a new structure.
It is, I mean, but it is a buildable lot. I mean, a lot can be built on. That's there. It's a taxable, buildable lot.
We just argue it's infringing upon our rights, as well as the privacy concerns. And the across from me in my pictures,
Yep.
all of the houses on my street and surrounding me are very distant from their borders with significant room. This looming house can cause me to have reduced sunlight. I have a garden there. And again, we're disputing the line. So if
Right, but that's not for us, and
No.
we can't guarantee sunlight or views. So, you know, I mean, if something's a buildable lot, someone's allowed to build a
Right, but
lot there, and they're allowed to build it to the height they're allowed to, you know, unless they ask for a variance. But anyone's allowed to ask for a variance.
I understand.
For a dimensional variance, and that's what they're doing.
And again,
They're
I
saying
would
that-
rely on the air, light, safety. That's the purpose of having the setbacks.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure, yeah,
If-
Mr.
Just a
Daniels,
point
please.
of order, if I may. We just had a 12-page exhibit dropped on us. I don't think it's appropriate for us, there's a number of issues in here about DEM, CRMC, to take the time tonight. I would ask that we can continue this matter, so the board has an opportunity, number one, to look at I didn't look at the property because I just wasn't able to. And we have a 12-page exhibit that I don't think we want to take 15, 20 minutes to understand and make part of the record until we do understand it. So I would respectfully request that we continue the matter so we have a chance to take a look at this and consider the testimony, certainly previous testimony from the objector, if that's in order.
Okay, well, I mean, we can certainly talk about it. I think, you know, and any other reviews, there weren't any other reviews required before they came here in terms of DEM, CRMC. Any of that could be contingent on our approval, but it's not necessarily relevant to us, right?
Mr. Chairman, I believe the applicant has acquired the CRMC approval, DEM approval, wetland approval.
Because he would have had to get that for the building permit, right? And so even sometimes if approvals need to be extended or changed administratively, but it sounds like that has essentially already happened. You know, a continuance would allow an opportunity to potentially have the applicant and the objector get together and see if anything can be resolved.
Okay, all right, well, we'll ask about this, and see if we can get an answer to it, but, is there any other, yep, Ms. Hicks?
Ms. Schubert, would you do me a favor for clarification? Could you explain to me on that slide where your house is? I'm trying to figure out which of the, because the paper that we get, it's very small and hard to see, so.
I believe my house is supposed to be where your cursor is, but I couldn't say if the survey is accurate or not.
About how many feet from the lot line is your house? How many feet away?
I wouldn't want to assume.
Okay, can I assume the blue line is what we're assuming is the lot line based on some sort of challenge to it?
You can, Jamie can pull up the GIS, but we know GIS doesn't have accurate lot lines. That's not equivalent to a survey.
So it appears to be at least 50 feet from the property line.
Any other questions, Ms. Hicks? No? Okay, did you want to add anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you. Okay, so anyone else out there want to speak on behalf of this petition? Come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening. Just please state and spell your name, please.
John St. Angelo, Gianst, period, capital Angelo.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but
I
it?
certainly do.
Okay,
I live
excellent.
at 79 Brant Road South, right across the street from the lot we're talking about. I spoke at the last variance, however many years ago that was, hearing to register my concerns that this project would result in a change in the character of the neighborhood. It didn't fit this particular dwelling. I'm not against any kind of house there. I would like it to comply with the town's zoning requirements, particularly the setbacks. Again, no problem with the house, but on our street in particular, there's wide gaps between dwellings, right? This would be a much narrower gap. It would be a much denser cluster from my perspective. The second thing I would say is that I just saw a rendering online of the proposed dwelling. It's got a roof deck on it. Again, I guess that is something that's out of character with the neighborhood, and it would lord over neighboring properties.
Yeah, we're not a design review, though.
No, I get it.
We don't look at anything vertically.
No, but you would want to reflect the character of the neighborhood. That sort of thing doesn't
Not
exist.
by design, no.
All right, well, that's a feature, I would argue. Not a design. I mean, you don't have to design them.
Nor by feature, I guess, then.
Yeah, I
either.
guess.
Yeah.
So I still have those concerns, and I just want to make sure that the board knows. We're here full-time, my wife and I, and the neighborhood is filling up with more and more full-time people, which is great, young families in particular. I know and I respect the committee's rules about addressing questions to the petitioners. Last time they indicated they were going to live there and raise their families, their kids there. It wouldn't be an Airbnb or a URI rental. I would just ask the board to potentially confirm that. I know you can't prohibit it, but I would like you to ask that question.
So you realize, though, that if they built it 4.9 feet over, they can build it as big as they want, like relative height-wise, like you'd still put in a building.
Well, isn't there a 35-foot?
Yeah, I mean, they're bound by that now. They're not asking to be any taller.
Okay, I get it. I'm just saying, I saw that dwelling for the first time. All we got for this, the notification for this process, it wasn't your standard package like we got for the first variance request. It was just a self-addressed letter with a notice of the hearing, no details. So I saw that for tonight for the first time. That's why I raised the question.
Yeah, I mean, but you guys realize, I mean, we can ask them, well, we don't have to ask them, and we can deny it, and then they can build a house 4.9
No, I get
feet
it.
over.
I'm just asking you, as the board, ask the question or not. If you decide not to, fine. I'll ask them in the hall.
We ask them what? I'm
Are they
confused.
still intending to be, is it their primary residence, or is it going to be a rental?
That's not relevant to us approving it.
Okay. Well, I think it would address a lot of the concerns in the neighborhood if they answered that question, so.
Well, if you guys, I mean, that's more of a town council ordinance
Right,
than
right,
it
right,
is
right.
for us to, we can't make stuff up like that.
No, I'm asking you questions. Second time here.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Forgive me. I'm just
So-
a resident, that's
No,
all.
understood. Mr. Elia, did you want to ask something?
Yes, just a clarification. It's your contention that relief of 4.5 feet is excessive? Is that what you stated?
Yeah, it's not enough space.
Is excessive in your estimation?
No, I'm not talking about the relief itself. I don't It's the proximity to the next property line. 4 feet, 20 feet, if it's going to come up to the property line within whatever, 9 feet or whatever they were asking for, that's tight. It's out of character for the neighborhood. That's all I'm saying.
Excuse me, sir. You understand there's a wetland restriction here, right? They're limited on the space they can build the house.
I get it.
Huh?
I understand.
Okay.
So a big caveat emptor. Right.
So they need a variance.
I get it.
4 feet.
All I'm saying, they knew that when they bought the place.
They knew what?
That there was wetlands, or they should have known,
Sure.
through their due diligence, that they would need a setback variance. That's not guaranteed, and it's not consistent with the town's parameters that we've all decided are appropriate to manage the growth of South Kingstown.
Well, the process is for them to come for a variance. It's not to say we won't allow any, we just say that this is the expectation, and that everybody builds this far away. But if for some reason you can't or don't want to, then you can come to us and ask.
Correct.
That's
Which is why
the
we're
process.
here.
I'm sorry?
That's why we're here, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No, but understand, they can build on this lot.
I get it.
Okay.
But if they can't build on the lot without a variance, then the surrounding neighborhood should have an input to that process, and that's what we're here for.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, anyone else want to speak on behalf of this petition? For or against? No? Do you guys want to add anything else? Yeah, come on up. You have a chance to either respond to some things or...
We're happy to meet with anybody who has questions or concerns, and we will mention we are planning on living at this property full-time, like many of you, and raising our children, which we just had one. And we look forward to getting to know you guys, hopefully making peace and a beautiful community.
Yeah, thank you.
And to the water control, like we had to design in a water garden. We had to do an upgraded septic system. We have to do a pump out. Everything has been top of the line. I mean, we even have a double wall to avoid twisting of the structure. So we're spending extra money and in design and costs to design this 2-bedroom home that we just want to live in. That's our goal.
Yeah, understood. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of observing a few things here. I mean, certainly the adjacent property, the Metro Junior to the east there, looks like it's about 15 feet or so away from the property line, or less. Yeah.
Mr. Gorman, this is non-conforming lot, correct? It's R80, and it says 6.3 acres, but I believe it means .63?
Correct. That equates to about
On the application?
About
Okay.
27,000 square feet, correct.
Okay, board members, any thoughts or comments or motions?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, good. Mr. Elio?
I'd like to make a motion to approve. In a meeting held on Wednesday, June 17th, regarding the petition of Mr. John-Luc Bellafleur of 78 Brant Road South, South Kingston, Assessor's Map 90-4, Lot 130, zoned R80. In addition to Mr. Bellafleur, Ms. Elizabeth Aponte spoke in behalf of the applicant. Individuals speaking in opposition were Ms. Jennifer Jobert and Mr. Johnson Angelo. The following materials were entered into record: petition ZBR-26-16, including survey and engineering plans from Ballack Associates and C.J. Doyle Engineering. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and structure, and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those physical disabilities addressed in 45-2430. Applicant is simply seeking to construct a single-family home located 9.9 feet from the side property yard. Required setback is 14.4 feet, therefore relief of 4.5 feet is requested. Board further finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. The board finds that granting the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. The board further finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of this subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than an inconvenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed, and there are no conditions attached to this approval.
Motion is made by Mr. Elia. Motion is made by Mr. Elia. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Daniels.
Sorry about that. Mr. Elia, can you just include, and I'm sorry if I missed it, can you just include briefly in the motion a little bit about the prior approval?
Yes. Please note that a prior approval was granted. The applicant did not access a building permit in a timely fashion and therefore is applying for a new dimensional variance with a new application.
Okay, do you second that modification?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Elia? Aye. Mr. Daniels? Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Okay, next is Deborah Walland of 221 Sweet Allen Farm Road, Wakefield, 02879. They're requesting a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to construct a 190 square foot sunroom addition in the rear of the dwelling. The addition stairs will be located 24.2 from the rear property line. The required rear yard setback is 30 feet, therefore a relief of 5.8 feet is requested. Lot size is 0.23 acres. A dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401. Dimensional regulations in section 907 are standards of relief. Owner of the property is Deborah Wallen for premises located at 221 Sweet Allen Farm Road, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 48-1, Lot 12, and is owned R20. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Robert Donnelly. I'm an attorney with Kenyon Law Associates in Wakefield, representing Deborah Wallen tonight at 221 Sweet Allen Farm Road. As you indicated, she's seeking a dimensional rear yard variance to put a prefabricated sunroom, the kind you see like a Florida room, only for the summer and springtime, things like that. Presently, there exists a 10 foot deep by 12 foot deck on the back of the house, the rear of the house. The deck is going to be removed, replaced by this structure, which would be 10 feet deep still, 19 feet wide. The setback is required because of the stairs coming off of the room. The structure itself is within the setback, but the stairs extend out into the setback, creating a 5.8 foot request for a variance. This is, as they say, it's a 2-season room, 2.5-season room. It has electricity, no plumbing, no HVAC, nothing else going on like that. The total height of the center of the structure is 13 feet from the ground level. The flooring in the sunroom is going to be level with the flooring in the house, so there's no tripping points or anything like that. It's not that Mrs. Walland is feeble and going to fall down, but you like to have that one. She's a single level house with a single level coming back out towards the room. She applied for the building permit, obviously was denied because we needed the variance to get to the backyard and be able to have the stairs on the structure. That's the general overview. I have some questions of Mrs. Wallen, if you want to swear her in.
Sure, come on up. Good evening.
Hi, I'm
How are
not
you?
feeble.
Just state and spell your
Didn't say
name for
that.
us.
Said you weren't.
I know. Deborah Walland, DebraWalland.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but it?
I do.
Excellent. Go for it.
All right, Deborah, how long have you owned the house?
About 5 years.
Okay, and the deck that's there now was there on the structure when you purchased it?
Yes.
Okay. What is your plan for this room? Why do you want it?
I just want a little extra room. It's a tiny little house, and I just wanted space to have, to enjoy the backyard without bugs.
Without mosquitoes, yes. And obviously, this is a single-family residence.
Yeah, just me.
All the properties around you are either single-family residences or condominium units?
Condominiums
right?
across the street.
That's the neighborhood, no commercial or anything, it's all just residential, right?
Correct.
Okay. The 10-foot depth of the structure, is that about the minimum you need to be able to enjoy? I mean, the width is 19 feet, but just from the rear of the house, 10 feet, it'd be kind of silly to have a 6-8 foot. In order to stay inside the setback with stairs, you'd have a 4-foot deep room.
Hallway.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So that's kind of the least amount you think you need to be able to enjoy this room?
Yes.
Is the 10 feet, okay. And as you said to me, this is probably your last house, right?
Yes.
This is where you're going to be. You want to be able to make it. So, not that you're shuffling off anytime soon, but this is where you want to be, and this is where you're going to stay.
Correct.
Okay. I have no further questions.
So I see that the stairs are coming off the west side, basically the back of the house.
Back, yeah.
Is there any, could you not put them in the back if you had to? Like, is that the only place that you can have the stairs coming out of the room?
The thought was, I have a sliding glass door, and it would be coming, the door to the backyard would be directly across from the sliding glass door, so it'd be a straight shot out. And
Yep.
then the other thought was, if the day should come that I need a ramp, I can build a ramp from those stairs and go to the side.
Okay. And Mr. Gorman, stairs don't count? Do stairs count within the footprint?
If it's
Always?
Yeah, that would have to meet the setbacks. The stairs would have to meet the setbacks. That's
Okay.
correct. A handicap ramp would be exempt from the setbacks.
Really?
Correct.
Interesting. So, and every stair requires that full 3-foot landing?
If there's a door.
If there's a door that opens out, or just period?
If
there's
it's
a
an
door?
exterior door, it needs a
Okay.
3-foot landing in depth on the outside of the building.
So that's part of the reason why it needs to stick out even more? Right.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one question. I mean, if you were to move it to the side, you would basically take up most of that wall of the side of the building. Because it's a 10-foot side, 10 feet deep.
Yeah.
So if you move it to the back, you lose that wall.
Right.
Whereas on a 19-foot wall, you can place things around any other side of it. Okay.
So that's the best place for it? Okay. And there really isn't anywhere else you'd put that porch or the sunroom on the house within your setbacks?
No, all the other setbacks.
I mean, obviously, if you look at it, you could pick the entire house up and move it 5.2 feet forward, and you'd be good.
Can you do that?
You're good, you know?
The setbacks in the front are already full.
Okay. Board members, any questions for this applicant? No? Okay. Thank you. Anyone want to speak on behalf of this petition for or against? Come on up. Good evening. Just state and spell your name, please.
Good evening. My name's Kevin Sullivan, KEVIN,
You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
but so help me God.
All right, Mr. Sullivan, go for it.
So, I'm here at the request of my wife, who is out of state right now, and she has followed the situation. I live at 179 Mulberry Drive. Mulberry Drive backs up to Sweet Allen Farm. I owned a condo in Sweet Allen Farm for a couple of years. I'm very familiar with the layout and the HOA there. I owned a place on Acorn Court. And the backyards of the west side of Sweet Allen Farm Road border a South Kingstown-owned town protected open space, quote unquote. And that's that strip of brown wood you see there, and then my yard backs up to the eastern border of those. And it's a relatively narrow strip between my, at 179 and the 221. And I'm not here, I am not anti-house expansion, I'm not anti-development. And I don't want to cause a problem for anyone, but I have to live in my house. And there's a great concern about encroaching on the formal open protected space.
Mm-hmm.
And we've watched a pattern. We've moved in there in 2011. Part of the attraction was the relative privacy of our backyard, the wildlife that's in there and all that. And we've watched 11, 12 years of encroachment by numerous residents along there who use the woods as a dumping ground and extend their recreation facilities into it.
Right.
And I'm not against anyone having a good time or throwing their grass clippings out. But the point I was asked to make is that how far does the town go in letting people encroach on protected open space, for lack of a better word? That's what they call that strip. The town supposedly prides itself on affordable housing and open space and all this stuff. And the concern is it's admittedly a minor variance, a couple of feet. And sadly, I'm an engineer, and so when she asked me to look at this, I went through the whole zoning application and the building permit. And I got to hand it to the contractor who built these things. He squeezed in a lot that's 95% of the allowable space, and the original structure is about 1825 square feet, which is just over 90% of the footprint allowable. And in fact, the 190 square foot requested unwavered addition, including, and if you add the 22 square feet of the landing and stairs, which I've done, it then not only encroaches on the setback line, but it exceeds the 20% footprint allowance for a lot in that zone. Those are all technicalities, and from what I've heard about the purview of this board and what you can look at and what isn't, I know you can't pass judgment on the advisability of the town letting people encroach on the open space and all that, and you have to look strictly at the requested dimensional variance. I'm not familiar with the zoning or anything. I don't know if the dimensional variance automatically includes a footprint variance. In other words, not only exceeding the setback lines, but the lot coverage requirements. Again, minimally. These are technicalities. I'm nitpicking.
No, it's an important technicality. I think lot coverage is a requirement.
It is.
Yep.
And the other part of this is my wife's been after this whole issue of the open space for several years now. We've had repeated conversations with appropriate town authorities who have given lip service and agreed that this would be addressed, et cetera, and it wouldn't go on. And we've had no feedback, no follow-up, and no consequences obvious to anyone. So I was asked to come tonight just to make the point that we would like to see, I hate to say, don't give her a variance for doing what she wants there, but I think you'd be very hard-pressed to say that denial of it would be anything more than an inconvenience. She's not losing any beneficial use. She has a deck. The idea of putting the stairs to one side or the other, that's still a 10-foot wall. It's They're not showing a 10-foot or 8-foot slider there with a big deck stairs going out. If they move the stairs, it basically would solve the setback issue. It still wouldn't solve the lot coverage issue. And I'm not suggesting that she reduce the size of the thing either. I'm just, at my wife's request, I'm here to just ask the town to keep the idea of protected open space in mind when you make these decisions.
Thank you.
Thank
Now-
you. Any questions?
Yeah, well, Mr. Gorman, were you able to whip up a quick calculation?
And I'm off the cuff here, so.
Yeah, no, I
I
appreciate
don't
you.
really know much about what other than the math. I got the math.
So the surveyor who prepared the plan did actually provide the math of the lot coverage existing and proposed. So proposed is 20.5%. However, he noted that 20% was the maximum, and in this zone, it's 25%. So I believe the surveyor made an error on that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, they're well within then.
Good awareness, though.
Yeah.
And we are being taped, so you don't want to, go home and upset anyone.
So I'm covered.
So yeah,
Thank you.
you've got to make sure you state your case.
Oh, all right. So
Well-
because I looked at the survey and the whole bit, not just the town's yellow lines. So it is a 25% lot coverage issue.
That's the maximum they could cover with a building, and proposed is 20.5.
So the only thing I would say is maybe consider moving that stairway to an end. I'm not going to address the applicant.
Thank you.
I don't want to cause a problem.
No, I mean,
But I also don't want to see continual stuff going in that, it's great in the summer, but then in the winter, I mean, it's narrowed and narrowed and narrowed.
yeah, I mean, I think whenever we're looking at stuff, it's just a matter of like how does it really fit in, and is it something that is going to be a big impact, right? I mean, when a building can go in and the difference is 3 feet or 2 feet, it's sort of like the building could go in, So there's a point of where we're trying to be reasonable with folks, and we can see what other people feel about, being, but a lot of times when someone's closer and there's a buffer behind it, you're like, oh, there's a buffer behind it. Nobody's really minds, So but everything is different. Every application is different. So I appreciate you saying it, and it's important, I think, to protect this stuff. So
Well, I thank you guys for your time and also for your service. I've served on boards and committees, and thank you for volunteering.
you stay for the money is
Thank
what it
you.
is, yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Is there anyone else out there that wants to speak on behalf of this petition, for or against? Okay. Any thoughts, board members, or desires to make a motion? Okay, unless anyone wants to speak out or for? Okay, go for it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application of Ms. Deborah Walland of 221 Sweet Allen Farm Road. At a meeting on Monday, June 17th, Ms. Deborah Walland of 221 Sweet Allen Farm Road, Assessor's Map 48-1, Lot 12, Zoned R12, presented her application. Ms. Walland and Attorney Robert Donnelly spoke in support of the application. The only individual speaking in opposition was Mr. Kevin Sullivan. The following materials were entered into record: petition ZBR-2614, including design concepts from Great Day Improvements, and conditions plan survey from South County Surveyors. The board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and structure, and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those physical disabilities addressed in 45-2430. Ms. Walland is simply looking to construct a 190 square foot sunroom addition to her existing dwelling. Rear yard setback is 30 feet, therefore applicant is seeking relief of 5.8 feet, as the stairs will be located 24.4 feet from the rear property line. Board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. Board further finds that granting the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. And furthermore, the board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than an inconvenience, meaning that relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted. And there were no special conditions for this motion.
Motion was made by Mr. Elia. Can I get a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Hicks. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Elia?
Aye.
Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck. You're welcome. Thank you. Well, here we are. So, who's here for Sherman? Just you? And no one else? All right, hang on. And then, so I'm assuming everyone else here is for Sousie? Susie? Sousie? Susie. Okay. So, I'll tell you right now, it's impossible to get to both. So, I know Susie is going to take us longer, probably an hour or so. So I think it sort of leaves us with the option of what's up? I mean, potentially we can do Mr. Sherman if we feel that Mr. Sherman can, you know. But I think the truth is that we wouldn't be able to give just attention to Sousie for exhaustion and other means. But so really, you said that there's two options. It's either the next meeting or an open night.
Yeah, I mean, the board's next meeting is in 4 weeks. We typically kind of unofficially set aside the fourth Wednesday of the month. I don't know if the board's available next Wednesday, or if the board wants to have an extra meeting this month.
Or if we want to just wait
It's up to the board.
until the next meeting.
You can also ask any of the applicants if they're available next week versus just the next July 15th.
Is there a preferred? Can folks make it next month or next week? Indeed. Okay.
15th, the third Wednesday in July. It's always nice when, it's always a question worth asking for all parties involved when an attorney comes in kind of at the 11th hour and an objection letter was received today. I think it's always nice when some time can be afforded for potential meeting, and I know some of that discussion may have happened in the last few hours. It also affords time for the applicant to get legal counsel, which is strongly recommended when there's legal counsel representing objectors.
you're suggesting more time could be helpful based on
I'm suggesting.
what's happening with this petition?
And I'm advising the board, not the applicant.
No,
But
of
if-
course.
if-
I'm asking,
If I,
yes.
yeah, I would suggest to the applicant, I think it makes more sense to do this in July than next week.
Based on, okay, so they, any continuation ends up being first. So, all right, so we're gonna, all right, so can I get a motion, do I need a motion to continue? Okay, so I'll make a motion to continue Susie for the July 15th meeting. So, can I get a second? Second by Mr. Daniels. Any other discussion? Hearing none? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Okay. So, we'll hear that one next month. Sorry, everybody. So, Mr. Sherman, 395 Curtis Corner Road, Wakefield, Rhode Island, 02879, requesting a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new dwelling 30 feet from the front property line and 16.8 feet from the side, both side property lines. The required front yard set and side yard setbacks are 40 feet and 20 feet respectively. Therefore, a relief of 10 feet and 3.2 feet is requested. Lot size is 7.97 acres. A dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, section 401, the schedule of dimensional regulations, and section 907 are standards of relief. The owners of the property are Darrell and Cheryl Sherman for premises located at 395 Curtis Corner Road, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 39-3, Lot 16, and is zoned R30. Good evening.
Good evening.
Could you just state and spell your name for us, please?
Darrell Sherman, DARYL SHERMAN.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. Please tell us what you'd like to do.
I'd like to knock down the old house and put up a new one. The lot is too small width-wise, and I can only go back so far because of the wetlands behind me. So the new one that's being proposed will be a little bit, it would be 28 feet wide as opposed to, I think it's 31 now. And it'll go a little deeper than the one that's there now. The square footage will be a little bit less than what's there now as well.
So, help me, what's the size of the property?
The overall size is
1.27 acres?
Well, I don't know the lot itself.
I'm sorry.
There's a big lot behind it that was attached at one time. He was supposed to separate it when he did the survey.
But it's not. So it's not 8 acres, essentially.
Well, it's almost 8 acres, the whole total property, but the back 7 or so is all wetlands.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I've got it on the screen, Mr. Chairman.
Oh. Really? And so all that back property is yours?
Yes.
Wow. You can't do a thing with it except waiters?
Yeah, I would love to develop it, but if you want to give me the permission.
Stilts, all on stilts. Okay, so really you are quite limited based on the setup of the lot in terms of where you can put it?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you be any skinnier or any farther back in order to sort of have a reasonable home?
I don't know how much further back I can go there's a wetlands boundary as well.
Okay.
And so
with the width of the house and so forth, I mean, is this something? Is it in keeping with the neighborhood? Is it?
Yes.
It's not an oversized house with 4 garages and.
No garage.
Do we have a floor plan, or is that just a site plan? Okay. Oh, okay. And it's merely, the only reason I'm curious of the design aspect is just to make sure that you know, you can make, if there are any accommodations you can make to sort of fit better within reason, but if you feel that you're sort of you're minimally sort of approaching this as minimally as possible.
Yes.
And that we can't get any skinnier or any farther back.
I don't think I can get a skinnier house than 28 feet unless I put a single trailer on there.
Sure.
And
Sure. Is it a?
It's a modular house.
It is a modular.
Yes.
Okay. I'm fascinated by it. Like, so several, 2 or 3
I think
pieces?
it's 2 pieces.
2 pieces?
It comes in and sets it on the new foundation.
Okay. Okay. Questions, board members, of this applicant?
Just one for Mr. Gorman. Do we have the required road frontage here?
So this is a substandard lot. I believe it has 61, just over 61 feet, where I'd have to double check 100 feet is required, so it's pre-existing
So
substandard.
he would need a variance on road frontage?
The ordinance doesn't require a non-conforming lot with road frontage or lot area to seek relief from it, unless if you were moving the lot line. In this case, it's allowed for a single-family dwelling. You wouldn't need relief just citing the house within the setbacks.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I also did visit this site, and I can vouch for the applicant that I think he has no alternative to do exactly what he's doing.
Okay. You want to add anything else?
No,
Anyone out there want to speak on behalf of this petition? Okay, thank you. All right, how's anyone feeling about this? Any concerns, questions, comments, motions?
No, I think the lot is obviously a difficult situation.
Very unique, to say the least. So, okay. Someone want to make a motion, or you want? You put a check mark next to that.
I'll make a motion. Might as well just. I'll make a motion to approve. At a meeting held on Wednesday, June 17th, Mr. Daryl Sherman of 395 Curtis Corner Road, Wakefield, Rhode Island, Assessors Map 39-3, Lot 16, Zone R30, spoke on behalf of his application. There were no other individuals that spoke in support or in opposition. The following materials were entered into record: petition ZBR-26-17, including land surveys from Mr. Jamie Sardelli. Board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, and is not due to any physical or economic disability of the applicant, excepting those physical disabilities addressed in 45-24-30. Mr. Sherman is simply seeking to demolish an existing home and construct a new home. The home will be 30 feet from the front property line and 16.8 feet from both side property lines. Required setbacks are 40 feet from the front and 20 feet from the side. Therefore, the applicant is requesting relief of 10 feet from the front and 3.2 feet from both sides. Board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant. Board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. Furthermore, the board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than an inconvenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use to which the property is proposed to be devoted, and there were no conditions accompanying this motion to approve.
Motion was made by Mr. Elia. Can I get a second? Second by Ms. Hicks. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Elia?
Aye.
Ms. Hicks? Mr. Daniels? Aye. Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck.
Congratulations, Mike. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks, you too,
Thanks
man.
for your patience.
You know, not a party until someone's disappointed. So, all right, we have minutes from which date? I'm sorry? May 20th. Anybody see anything on May 20th minutes to correct? No? Make a motion to approve the minutes of May 20th, 2026. Can I get, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay. Next meeting is July 15th, where we just added another one to it.
So who goes
Or
first?
added two. So the Willard Ave? Okay.
So who goes first, Denali or Southsea?
Oh, I did promise Southsea first,
You
didn't I?
did.
Son of a gun.
You did.
I guess I can change
They're gonna slash your
the order.
tires.
I know, they know where I live, too.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're so kind. All right, anything else that we need to cover for tonight? Concerns, questions? Should we wait for more people to be here, just in case? Anyone wants to boo down anybody if there's...
You're it. You're it, baby.
Are we just gonna...
Nobody else wants it now.
But it's so coveted. If I had a gavel, maybe somebody else would. I'm fine. I mean, whatever you guys want to do. If we want to, so do we have to nominate people, or do we just like kind of step up and say, sure?
I'll make a nomination.
Damn it.
What? I'll make a motion that Tom Daniels is vice chairman.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed to that? No? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes. So moved. All in favor? Aye.
Chairman,
And yeah, well.
15th term now, or whatever it is.
There has to be a time limit on this.